All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and call this regular City Council meeting Wednesday, April 8th, 2026 to order. Now we're going to stand for a moment of silence, and then we'll have the pledge led by Councilmember Matthews. All right, thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Jones.
Here.
Vice Mayor McPartlin.
Do we have him on Zoom yet?
He is on Zoom. 1 second.
What did he say?
Vice Mayor McPartlin, can you hear us?
All right, that's
Councilmember Nunn.
Here.
Councilmember Matthews.
Present.
And Councilmember Dodd.
here. All right, thank you so much for that. Our first order of business this evening is we're going to be doing 3 proclamations. The first one will be Water Conservation Month, and that's going to be accepted by Mr. James Cannon, Intergovernmental Coordinator of the St. Johns River Water Management District. And I will read that, sir, if you want to stand up there, and I'll come down and hand it to you and take a photograph with you, if you don't mind. All right, Water Conservation Month, April 2026. Whereas water is a basic and essential need of every living creature. And whereas the state of Florida, the Water Management District, and the City of Sebastian are working together to increase awareness about the importance of water conservation. And whereas the City of Sebastian and the state of Florida have designated April, which is typically a dry month when the water demands are at most acute. However, today is a little different, right? As Florida's Water Conservation Month, to educate citizens about how they can help save Florida's precious water resources. And whereas the City of Sebastian has always encouraged and supported water conservation through various educational programs and special events. And whereas every business, industry, school, and citizen can make a big difference when it comes to conserving water. Whereas outdoor irrigation comprises a large portion of water use, the City of Sebastian will encourage citizens and businesses to focus on improving outdoor irrigation efficiency. Now, therefore, I, Fred Jones, Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim April as Water Conservation Month and call upon each citizen and business to help protect our precious resources by practicing water-saving measures and becoming more aware of the need to save water.
Sir, I appreciate it. Oh, sure.
Take a picture.
That'd be great.
Test.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you very much for this proclamation. We do this every year, every April. This is the 28th year that April has been recognized as Water Conservation Month in the state of Florida. This is probably about the 10th or 11th one I've done in the last couple of weeks. And my typical spiel is to come out and say, well, look how dry it is and look how warm it is outside. Obviously, it doesn't apply tonight. But the state of Florida, just so everybody's aware, every location in Florida across the entire state is in some level of drought condition right now, still, despite these wonderful rains we had this evening. And about half the state is still in what they consider severe drought or extreme drought. So we need a lot more of this. And these proclamations are wonderful. They're a good way to just kind of highlight the issue of water conservation. It is growingly ever more important here in Florida, especially with more people coming in, more development, the growth of the state. It's a wonderful thing from a commercial aspect, not so great from a water aspect. So this is just a really friendly way to remind everybody, just kind of keep an eye on your water usage because it does matter. So thank you again. Thank you, Council. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, sir. You could just lay that there. All right, our next two proclamations, one is for Arbor Day and the next is for Earth Day. And our natural resources staff, Alicia, do you have any members from your board that are here? All right, I'm going to read both of them and then I'll come down, okay? If you want to stand up with your team. Thank you all for being here this evening. So the first one is Arbor Day, April 24th, 2026. Whereas the first Arbor Day was held in Nebraska City in 1872, when the Nebraska State Board of Agriculture offered prizes to counties for the largest number of trees planted. And it was estimated that more than 1 million trees were planted on that day. Whereas trees clean our air, filter our water, and even slow storm surges and flooding in our city, as well as help preserve the character of our city and provide ecological services that support the well-being of the community and the local environment. Whereas through tree-preserving actions, the city has been awarded the Tree City USA designation for the 24th consecutive year, demonstrating our effort to protect this valuable resource and enhance our quality of life. Now, therefore, I, Fred Jones, Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim April 24th, 2026 as Arbor Day in the City of Sebastian, and urge all citizens to protect our trees and nurture our relationship with our natural resources so that we may continue to enjoy thriving in a livable community. Next is Earth Day, April 22nd, 2026. Whereas citizens, governments, and businesses are essential in harnessing our collective strength to care for our local environment and protect against environmental degradation to preserve the Earth's beauty and resources, which are finite. Whereas the global community faces challenges such as health issues, food and water shortages, and economic struggles, and all people have a right to a healthy, sustainable environment which is within reach if we work together to commit to action and invest in our planet and our collective future. Whereas the City of Sebastian has chosen to participate in this global movement by adopting the Sustainable Sebastian Initiative, which strives to protect our natural resources while balancing the social and economic needs of our community. Now, therefore, I, Fred Jones, the Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2026 as Earth Day in the City of Sebastian and encourage all citizens to celebrate our home on this earth and join the City of Sebastian's Natural Resources Board at the Earth Day and Arbor Day celebration in Riverview Park on April 18th. So come on down, April 18th.
Hello, test. There's a lot of people here. I just want to mention that we have the National Resources Board has a meeting every month on the first Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m., just like the City Council meeting. We are on Zoom, and we don't get a lot of interaction from the public. So if you have something that you have in your mind about our natural resources here, please join us on Zoom or in person here in the council chambers at 6 p.m. the first Tuesday of each month. And we hope to see you all on Arbor Day in the park. It's going to be huge. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and bring your kids.
Thank you so much, Frank. I did want to throw in there that the celebration on the 18th is from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. During that time frame, there will also be a couple other events going on. If you have any household spring cleaning needs, from 10 to 12 p.m. at Riverview Park in the overflow parking lot, Waste Management will have their shredding vehicles as well as their electronic recycling dumpsters. And at the Barber Street Sports Complex, if you have any need for disposing of large household items or bicycles, the Bike Walk of Indian River County will be there with Waste Management to collect those items. Bike Walk of Indian River County has a bike rehab program that they collect gently used bicycles or just no longer wanted bicycles that they will contribute to their program. They have staff members or volunteers that will assess the bicycles, determine if they can be broken down for parts or if they can be used whole, and then they will go to people in the community who are in need of transportation methods. I hope you'll join us for any of those opportunities, and we'll look forward to seeing you there, and hopefully our dear mayor will join us to read the proclamations out loud during the celebration.
I will.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, our next agenda item is a presentation of the fiscal year 2025 annual audit by the firm Carter, Riggs, and Ingram. Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Our audit for the fiscal year 2025 has been completed by our auditors, and Ms. Christine Noel-Rand is here to present them. It's the audit of the city and the CRA district.
Good evening. I'm the audit partner that oversaw your fiscal year 25 audits. So you have an audit of the comprehensive, which has everything from the city, which also includes the CRA, and then you also have separate CRA statements because the state requires separate statements for them as well. Both of them have clean unmodified opinions, which is the opinion that you want to receive. Last year, we had 6 audit findings. 5 of them were cleared, of the 5 biggest ones. So your material weaknesses, significant deficiencies were all cleared. The only thing that was left was a compliance issue with the building fund. The balance is larger than statute will allow, and management is working on a way to figure out how to properly spend those funds as legislation keeps changing as they try to find ways to spend it. To walk you through a few things in the full report, one thing to notice is the accounting standards. Something changes every year. This year, the compensated absences rules changed. So now you have to add in some estimate of the sick time to be used, even though all of it is not paid out. So you have to estimate what will be used and include that in your liability. So everyone's liability increased slightly because of that. In your general fund, which is your main operating fund, if you compared this year to last year, your revenues increased $1.3 million. Most of that was in property taxes, about $680,000, and then you had about $460 from FEMA, so you finally got some cash from previous hurricanes. Your expenditures went up $1.9 million. The majority of this was salaries and benefits because you filled actually quite a few vacancies that you had across the city this year. So overall in the general fund, your fund balance increased $216,000. So you have about 7 months worth of expenditures in your unrestricted fund balance, and you want a minimum of 3. So you have a good amount sitting in there. You're not on the risk of bankruptcy or anything like that. In your CRA fund, they had $89,000 more revenues. Again, it was increase in your property taxes, and you transferred a little bit more out this year to spend on street paving. So overall, it had a positive increase of $141,000 this year. And I just wanted to point out, you also had a new fund. It's rolled up into your non-major funds. You have a new solid waste fund, and you did charge enough to cover all the expenses your first year because it ended up with a positive $111,000 at the end. And there's one, it's buried in the footnotes, but I just wanted to point out you all left the one CWA pension plan, but that was as of October 1st, 2025. So the future liability for that is not recorded in the financials because it was subsequent to your year end, but there is a footnote about how you left that and you're opening up your own new individual employee pension plan in this fiscal year. Does anyone have any questions that I can answer? Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to step in and say thank you, Christine, and your entire team. They spend many hours in our finance department, and also just want to recognize our finance department, their staff, and also other associated staff within the city that have to help with documentation for the audit throughout that entire process. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. Next, we have the Natural Resources Board Annual Update.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, Council. For those of you who don't know me in the audience, my name is Felicia Gordian. I'm the environmental technician for the City of Sebastian, and I am the staff liaison to the Natural Resources Board. In this report, we will be going over some very simple information, the mission of the NRB, always to kick us off for this presentation, the current status of where we are with the board members, the highlights from the past year, some recent and upcoming projects, and what our projections are for the near future. Of course, the Natural Resources Board mission is to improve the quality of life in Sebastian by nurturing the balanced relationship between our citizens and our environment by protecting, preserving, and promoting our natural resources. Currently, we have 7 board members and 1 alternate. There is 1 vacant alternate seat, and if anyone is interested, please do reach out. We are gearing up, of course, for the Earth Day and Arbor Day celebration, and at this point, it is only 10 short days away. Some of the highlights from the past year, we hosted 2 coastal cleanups in 2025, the Treasure Coast Waterway cleanup and the International Coastal Cleanup. You typically will see the Natural Resources Board at the Main Street Boat Ramp for either of those cleanups. Sometimes they will be found at other locations. We have also provided some new educational activities, thanks to some of our board members at some of the recent some of the recent city events. The Stormwater Superheroes activity at Touch and Tour was a new one for us, and then we had an African blue basil planting activity at the new Kids Fest. That was a first-time event for the city of Sebastian, so we were honored to be a part of that as well. And the Natural Resource Board also has hosted hands-on volunteering opportunities on our parks and properties, also in conjunction with our Parks Recreation Advisory Committee, with the planting of Garden Club Park in early 2025. Subsequent weeding and mulching needed to take place to tend to that landscaping. Unfortunately, with the frost, we did see some of it die back, but I have heard, and I have seen some of it for myself, that some of it's starting to bounce back, so we're excited to see how that starts to progress over the course of the next few months. And this year, we have hosted the 2nd annual Air Potato Roundup in partnership with the Pelican Island Audubon Society. They've been a great partner. They helped guide us through the first ever iteration back in 2025, and so we were honored to be able to host that again, this time on Valentine's Day, this 2026, and our COPE unit from the police department joined us this time around. And it was really wonderful to see the engagement that they helped to provide. A lot of people at the event were really jazzed to have access to snow cones and popcorn before and after helping to remove invasive exotic vegetation from the site. And that site, I mean, is Stormwater Park. And if anyone has not been to Stormwater Park, it is a fantastic facility. Please go check it out. I think the formal name is Stormwater Treatment Facility, but it is a wonderful place to go for a hike. One of our most recent accomplishments with the Natural Resources Board was the first annual environmental poll. The big goal of this poll was to better understand the environmental concerns of the community, to really give them a platform for expressing those concerns and understanding if the way we're headed with Sustainable Sebastian or the goals of the Natural Resources Board are in alignment with the needs of the community. Currently, the City of Sebastian population is just over 27,500 individuals, and about 1% of our total population, so 405 individuals, did participate. We did have this slight 23 outliers of people who were technically outside of the jurisdictional limits. We made sure to include a question and answer responses in the survey that accounted for that. So thankfully, we were able to capture that data. And most of the participants were 35 years and older and live within the city year-round. Some of the main takeaways, and these are just a few takeaways, and if you're interested in the rest of the takeaways, I encourage you to either come talk to me or to sit and watch that presentation that I gave to the Natural Resources Board where we went over all of the data. But 75% of the participants indicated that they believe that the health of the local environment is getting worse. This is a little bit unfortunate to see, but it does represent the reality that we are living with. When we asked them for the specifics, some of the big concerns were overdevelopment, pacing of the septic to sewer conversion, habitat loss and biodiversity loss, and of course, pollution. All of this is tied into the health of the Indian River Lagoon. Throughout the majority of the questions and answers and responses, a big theme is the health of the Indian River Lagoon. That's the thing I think that connects a lot of the people in this community. And you'll see that those respondents believe that that is directly tied with the character of our city. It's part of who we are as the city of Sebastian. And it not only from an economic level, but cultural, tourism, recreation, all of these things are connected to our natural resources and the health of that environment. All right. Some of the significance of this is really to take a look at what we can do to pivot or to change and understand where we should head from here. The community definitely cares. There are, some of the respondents, you might see some outliers that indicate maybe there's some more there are gaps in the education and outreach that we really need to get our messages out to people and help people better understand the environment that they live in. If they understand it, then they're more likely to care. And we also have an opportunity here to address any gaps in our current policies, or if there are things that we are currently doing that the public doesn't know about and they're not aware that we are making strides or that we're making efforts that the city is communicating with local organizations to try and make certain projects come to life. Maybe there's an opportunity there to actually spread the word about those acts. If people don't know, they think we're just sitting on our thumbs. Coming soon, we do have some exciting partnerships with the Solid Waste Disposal District and the Sebastian River Area Chamber of Commerce coming up. We have the Recycle Right workshop, which will be featuring the Solid Waste Disposal District, hosted here at the council chambers on May 5th at 5 p.m. That'll be right before the next NRB meeting. There'll be a brief recess between the two meetings, but we're excited to have them come out, and we're inviting all residents to come out and learn a little bit more. And this will be a preamble to what we're working towards for July with both of those organizations, to have a small business recycling workshop, to invite our businesses in, to have a conversation with them about what their options are for small business, for recycling, and find out what maybe some of the barriers are. We really want to better understand what their needs are and how we can assist in giving them the resources that they need. Some other projections for the future: we are very excited to introduce the possibility of a comprehensive environmental education guide. This was initially proposed by board member Frank Trinkle, who you saw a few minutes ago. And the intention for this guide is to place this in short stay, vacation rentals, of course, with organizations such as the local Chamber of Commerce, to find outlets where maybe people aren't going to be here for very long, but they still need to know what our local environment is really all about, and helping people understand the local regulations. And even if somebody is going to be here long term, this kind of information will still be really useful to have at their disposal. So we're hoping to flesh this out within the next few months, and we are looking forward to that process. And then staff is also looking into more invasive species removal efforts. We do have some ideas in the works that we are workshopping. And we're constantly having conversations with our partners, trying to find new outlets to work on some of the invasive species within the city of Sebastian. Some of our parks and properties really do need some TLC, and the success of the air potato roundup these past 2 years have really shown us that people do want to come out, they do want to get hands-on, and we're hoping to find more ways to engage the public. And it was, as an anecdote from this most recent air potato roundup, we actually had a couple of the neighborhood kids who just happened to see that we were out there. They hadn't heard about the event before, they didn't know, this was happening ahead of time, but they came over and they decided they wanted to participate. And that's the kind of engagement we want to see, and we're hoping to find more ways to make that happen. Thank you so much for your time and for listening, and of course, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Anybody have any questions for her? Great job, as always. You guys do a great job. So,
thank you for the whole board, really.
Yeah.
You all do a wonderful job out there.
Thank you.
And we love it. Thank you. We're on to the next item. Yes, give us that. Mr. Nunn, can you do the brief announcements,
Yes,
please, sir?
All right, brief announcements. Friday, April 10th, the Chamber of Commerce Concert in the Park, starting at 5:30 p.m., will featuring Day Tripper. Saturday, April 11th, the Craft Club of Sebastian will be at Riverview Park from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday, April 18th, Earth Day celebration at Riverview Park from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. On that same day, there will be paper shredding, electronic recycling at Riverview Overflow Parking Area just south of the splash pad from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Also on Saturday, April 18th, there's a spring cleaning event at the Barber Street Sports Complex from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. that you can bring couches, mattresses, appliances, lawn furniture, stuff like that. They'll take all kinds of stuff. So if you have all those things, go check it out. Earth Day will be a great celebration.
Absolutely. All right, thank you so much for that. Our next item is item 7, public input, and this is where anyone from the public would like to speak on anything that's not on the current agenda. Do we have anyone that doesn't? Yes, ma'am, to the left over here, and then you in the back.
I'll make this real quick. My name is Louise Cottenberg, and I am the chair of the Planning and Zoning Committee, a volunteer board for the city. I have been authorized and asked to ask the city council and our city manager if you would consider putting together a workshop with our board and perhaps the other boards as well. We have experienced a rather large number of people who don't seem to understand the process, how you get from point A to point B and point C and on down the road. We've lots and lots of people who have come here from other places and make the assumption that things here in Florida and in Sebastian work the same way they do. We're all over the country, and that just isn't the case, and we'd like to help people understand better what our boards do and how they operate. So we kindly ask you to consider a workshop at some point in the future. Thank you.
We can talk about that. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for that. Next, lady on the right, my right. Yes.
Hi, I'm here.
Your name, ma'am?
I'm Gina Garcia. I'm a resident here, and I asked Ms. Testa how I could bring something to your attention because I'm planning to put it in writing as a memo to each of you, because the most important thing that we keep hearing, and I saw personally when I was here at the zoning commission meeting back in February, was I hear the word progress all the time. And I'm ex-military and I'm an ex-Army captain in the combat arms in the field artillery. We didn't do anything without a mission or a metric. So when you sit here and whether it's a meeting or that's what most of these people are here for, a waiver and a change, when you say progress, we'd like to know what you mean. What is progress? 512 being 6 lanes? Is progress having a Starbucks so that La Tida goes out of business? I mean, what is progress to you? Because that word gets thrown out constant. Oh, we can't stop progress. We can't stop progress. Well, we can control it, and we can determine what our quality of life is by doing that. So all I ask is, when I send you an email, it's not rhetorical, and it's not that I want to aggravate you. I just would like to know, you personally, what you consider progress to be for this city. Is it 50,000 residents? We've got the Grace property, and now the latest one is going to be Sebastian Pines. What do we want? You know, what is it that you, as our representatives, feel it should be? Because you keep saying it as if you can't control it, but you can't control it if you don't know what it is. And that's all we're asking you to do. Tell us what progress is. Are we going to have IHOPs so that then the hen house goes out of business? We just want to know, is it more facilities, more places, more buildings, more people? I'm just curious, and I'd like to know. I plan to make this my home forever, and this is a great place, and you guys are doing a great job. I appreciate it. I appreciate you giving me the time, but I will just personally send an email to each of you, and maybe you can define it for me so that as I go forward and maybe volunteer for the Resources Board that's got an opening, then we'll be a little bit more clear on how we need to proceed or help you get to where we should be for a community. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am. Is there anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Grace Reed, Sebastian. I didn't realize we were getting audit results tonight, but I wanted to say thank you to the young lady, but she's already left, and also to Mr. Stewart and his staff. The results of that, anytime you can get a good audit result, I was an auditor in my career, that's kind of a blessing that somebody's not telling you you've got a whole string of issues to take care of. And so the results of the audit that we got, I thought were outstanding. And it proves to me, and I hope it proves to a lot of others in this community, that y'all are spending the money correctly. Well, not y'all, but the staff, Brian's staff. They're spending the money correctly. There's not a bunch of crooks. There's not a bunch of kickbacks and all of this other stuff that you see on the Facebook agenda. It looks like in one department we're not even spending enough. So I just wanted to say thank you and appreciate all of y'all representing our city.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Is there anybody else?
Fred.
Yes, sir. Come on up.
Richard Paquette, ratepayer. I really wanted to just get up here and see what it felt like and announce my running for city council here in Sebastian. Okay. Chris, could I see you and Mr. Dodd after the meeting? If
Sir,
you have
this
time.
is what are you talking about? We're not. This is not a point where you ask questions of us. You talk about whatever you're going to talk about, and then that's what your time is right now. So.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the chambers for public input that's not on Zoom? Anyone on Zoom?
No one has raised their hand.
All right. Thank you so much. Public input is closed. We're on to item 8, consent agenda. Council?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of 8A, B, C, D, and E.
I second that.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from anyone? None? Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor McPartlin, are you here yet?
Aye.
Okay. Councilmember Nunn.
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews.
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd.
Yes.
Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you so much. Any committee reports, Council? Anybody have a committee report? If not, we're going to move on to item 10A and B, and we're going to take those together. The attorney will read both of those, but when we get ready to move them forward or backwards, or whichever direction they go, we will do them separately.
Correct. The recommendation is that you have one public hearing.
Yes.
I'll open them both, have one public hearing, and then we'll take each question one at a time. So the two items, resolution number R-26-16, a resolution of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, providing for an annexation agreement between the City of Sebastian, Florida, a Florida municipal corporation, and Arbor Orange Grove LLC, Pioneer Orchard LLC, and TCGFL Sebastian Pines LLC to memorialize the parties' understanding and agreements with respect to the annexation of 204 acres, more or less, into the city, and with respect to the future development and use of the property, providing for conflict, providing for recording, providing for scrivener's errors, and an effective date. The item following that would be ordinance number O-26-03, an ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Florida, providing for the voluntary annexation for land consisting of 204 acres, more or less, located south of 77th Street, east of 74th Ave, north of 73rd Street, and west of 66th Ave, providing for the extension of the corporate limits and boundaries thereof, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for codification, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
All right, thank you so much for that. Staff?
Good evening. We have received an application pursuant to Florida Statute 171.044 in regards to a voluntary annexation. This property is in our office called Sebastian Pines. It's roughly southeast of where the Graves property is, and we've been working with the applicant for a little over 6 to 8 months now in getting this squared away. And just when you think about this, with this parcel of land and where it sits, it is it abuts existing city property or existing city boundary, and which is what you want to look for when you're looking at annexation. So it's gone through all of the checks and boxes with staff, if you will, and I know that the applicant is also here to make a presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have in regards to this application.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have any questions up here so far? No? Do we need to let the applicant come up? Yes. Applicant, where are you?
We need to swear in. Do we need to swear in at all? No, because it's a resolution. And
no, this is this is legislative, so it's not quasi-judicial. Thank you.
Hi. Good evening. Ken Toom with Urban Design Studio. We're a planning and landscape architecture firm. Looking forward tonight to discussing with you Sebastian Pines. What is in front of you this evening is a voluntary annexation and an annexation agreement. Those two items, one is a resolution, which is your annexation agreement. The other one, which is an ordinance, is the actual annexation. So tonight, you are not approving any land use, any rezoning. What you're doing in the voluntary annexation is a first reading. The second reading will be way down the road. My presentation this evening, though, is going to be myself giving a quick little bit about the project and the request that is in front of you. Then I'm going to ask the developer, Mr. Collins, to get up to really explain his vision for the site. And then I have Mr. Mills here to discuss infrastructure. And then Mr. Rodenbeck will be here to also follow up. So my presentation is going to be about 10 minutes this evening. So first thing, your development team is on the screen in front of you. The Concordia Group is a developer. That is Mr. Collins' family business. Mr. Collins is here. He will be addressing you. We have Mr. Mills here from Mills Short, our civil engineer. Mr. Lambert is here, our transportation engineer. Mr. Rodenbeck is here from Dills Evans, and then also myself from Urban Design. So the request that is in front of you is an annexation agreement and a voluntary annexation. As I said earlier, I just want to set the framework. You're not approving any density, any land use, any rezoning this evening. You're at the first step of the process, which is, hey, what is an annexation agreement? An annexation agreement is setting up the guardrails in an agreement between the city and the developer. If you decide to annex the property, then this is how the property will be developed. And I will walk in more detail after Mr. Collins speaks. The second part is the actual annexation itself. It is an ordinance. It's consistent with state statutes 171, and in essence says first reading, we are annexing the property. However, it is not effective until the second reading, which will be way down the road when we have all the other information in front of you. So this evening, you're not really doing anything in regards to annexing the property except doing the first read. The second read is when it actually becomes effective and comes into the city if you decide that is a course you want to take. So the subject site on the screen in front of you is indicated by Bisbedard, is a little south of 77th, east of 74th, and it's 204 acres. On the left-hand side, you'll notice the area in green, which identifies the boundary of the city of Sebastian. I'm going to go in just a little bit more detail. You'll note on the left-hand side where that red line is, that is the property line. You're going to hear me use the word contiguous. The property is contiguous to the city of Sebastian by the Graves property along the west side of the property or the east side of Graves. So it is contiguous. The second word that you're going to hear when I walk through the statute is compact. Is it compact? That's one of the criteria. And the answer is compactness means is it in a form that is adjacent to the property? Is it in a form that's not serpentine or creates weird enclaves? And the answer to that is this property is not, meets the criteria for being compact. So this is a request, is to actually annex it into the city of Sebastian. Again, tonight is the first reading. Later down the road will be the second reading, which is when it's actually effectuated. I'm going to ask Mr. Collins to get up to talk about the plan. Now, the best part about my job is I get to draw pictures for a living. So this is just a picture that we drew to come up with a concept. You're not voting on this. There's lots of time to come up with design decisions. But I'm going to ask Mr. Collins to get up and talk about his vision for the property. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my name's Will Collins, and I'm the managing member and the founder of the Concordia Group. We're a development company that has developed communities throughout the east coast of our country. And I want to tell you how much I'm appreciative of your time this evening. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. While we are currently developing 2 residential communities within Indian River County, we fully recognize that we are newcomers to the city of Sebastian. And whenever we enter a new city or a county or a township, we hope we arrive with a high degree of humility and a desire to be good listeners. From our initial introduction with your city manager and your planning staff, we've been warmly welcomed, and I am very appreciative of the insights, the suggestions, and the direction which have been shared with us. I've been in the development business for over 42 years, and I'd like to share with you that your staff is some of the most professional individuals I've ever worked with. They've provided us with your collective vision and requirements for new development in the city. And I want to personally thank Brian Benton, Alex Bernard, Jim Stokes, and your entire staff for their time, their insights, and their kindness over the past year. In addition to the input of your staff, we have been very, very fortunate to work with a team of professionals who have provided us with a great deal of local knowledge. I want to thank John Roadback, Wes Mills, and Ken Tuma for their willingness to work with us, to provide us guidance, and their friendship. Their local knowledge is invaluable, and we are so appreciative of their great work. I also want to thank Chuck Meckling for generously spending time with me, educating me on the wonderful attributes here in the city, and kindly welcoming me to this community. We hope, if approved, that this project and the future work that we hope to do in the city meets the quality of the work that Chuck and his team have been developing for the past 30 years. If we are granted the opportunity to move forward with this development, we welcome and will make every effort to reach out to local businesses who can work with us in the many different phases of this development. This certainly includes Chuck and his team. In responding to your staff's direction, we have spent a significant amount of effort to envision a community with a wide variety of housing types. This proposed project will be marketed not only to first-time home buyers, but also members of the senior demographic profile. We're proposing villa homes, which we are specifically designing for first-time home buyers that currently live within your community. We believe these homes can be sold to teachers, police officers, and other members of the city community who are seeking housing which meet the need of the missing middle, which currently is ever present in throughout everywhere in our country. We have worked with your staff to create craftsman architecture for these homes, as well as special attributes to all the amenity buildings, which we believe will set the tone for the type of high quality design that you require. We are proud of the architectural work that we presented to you and to staff, and we specifically designed these renderings for this community, and they represent the quality of homes which are needed in the city. I want to say, as Ken stated, that we know before you tonight is the issue of annexation. We view this as an ever-moving process as we work with your planning staff, planning and zoning, and any input that you may have in terms of the design of the project. We pride ourselves on being good listeners, and this is just the first step in the process, and we look forward to any input that you may provide. It's extremely important to me that we become active and positive members of the business community within the city. I certainly hope this community will be our first of other opportunities to work here in this beautiful and vibrant city. The quality of life within the city is what attracted me to seeking development opportunities here. While we will pay the normal fees associated with new home construction, I'm happy to say that we are going to commit and provide a significant financial investment towards new recreation enhancements in the city. We are very excited to be a supporter of the Working Waterfront Initiative and hope that our contribution will help further this great work. I also hope this contribution reflects our desire to be a member of your business community. I want to thank you again for your time tonight and your consideration of the annexation here before you tonight. And with that, I'd like to bring Ken Tuma back up from Urban Design Studio. But once again, thank you kindly for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Collins, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to start again here on kind of get into the details of all the exciting part of zoning and land use. So the item in front of you this evening, there are two items. The first one is the actual annexation agreement. The annexation agreement establishes a framework. It's really kind of the big picture. It creates kind of the rules of the road. It's an agreement between Mr. Collins and the city on what this could become. Again, it's a commitment on Mr. Collins' behalf and a commitment on the city's behalf. Not that you have to annex the property, but if the property does get annexed, it gets annexed under certain rules. For example, within the agreement agreement, there is an agreement that we would request a future land use. That future land use is your category, very low residential density. Mr. Collins has also made a commitment in this agreement that he would not do the full density that's allowed in that very low very low residential density. He's actually restricting it to approximately 81% of available density that he could request if he did achieve that lower density, or if he did achieve that that land use category. It also sets up time parameters. It also sets up the contribution of a park site, a 1.93 acre park site. It also, as Mr. Collins indicated, his voluntary commitment for additional financing for the fund that he indicated. That's also outlined within the agreement. It also identifies recreation, that we will meet the recreation requirements. It has specific discussion on buffers and open space and infrastructure also. So it just kind of sets up the rules of the road, and everything in that agreement, Mr. Collins has to meet or be below, meaning, for example, in this particular project, he would be allowed to ask for additional density, but he's going to keep it at that 502 unit count number. So the second part is the second one is actually an ordinance, and this is the first reading of that ordinance. It's chapter 171, and it's very specific on what it is. It's laid out in the Florida statutes. How does a municipality annex a piece of property from a county? It's laid out within the Florida statutes. More specifically, there are a couple key items that you have to do. You have to have the permission of everyone who is applying for annexation. I can attest that we have permission, and it's on file in the records that we have permission of every piece of property that's being annexed. Number two, it has to be published and noticed correctly. Your staff has handled that publish and that notification. I know that has been done, but I know Ms. Bernard will agree with me. Also, we have to put the county on notice. The city has placed the county on notice and sent a letter to the county indicating of this potential annexation. The other key things were those two words that I addressed to you before. Contiguous. Yes, we are contiguous to the city of Sebastian. This 204 acres is contiguous. Is it compact? Yes, it meets all the definitions of compactness. Those are the items that you're required to review. Your staff agrees with that analysis also. So from a statute standpoint, we've met the criteria. So the next step in the process is we look at what is in your comprehensive plan. Well, the city of Sebastian, being forward-thinking, you have a 2040 comprehensive plan. You actually include an annexation requirement under one of your policies, policy 1.24. I can tell you, I do this in different jurisdictions. It's very rare to see this. It's actually a very well thought out comprehensive plan. Thinking ahead, it has two items associated with it. The first one is we have to do something called an annexation study. That study is in your packet. It has a lot of information. Mr. Mills is going to come up and walk through some of the highlights of that study in a few minutes, and that's focusing primarily on infrastructure. And then the second part is you're required to submit a concurrent land use if your property is greater than 10 acres. Our property is greater than 10 acres. We have submitted a concurrent land use to allow for that very low residential density. That is on file within the city. It's also outlined within that annexation agreement. So those are the criteria that we have to make. So I'm going to ask Mr. Mills to come up to talk a little bit about infrastructure, because obviously always an important item when you talk about annexation are the capacities there, are the road network, and all the items associated with it. So Mr. Mills is going to discuss this real quick, and I'll be back. Thank you.
Good evening, Wesley Mills, Mills Short and Associates. Good to see you guys tonight. So I get the pleasure, I guess, of talking about the fun stuff, infrastructure analysis and technical capacity. First, I'll start out with transportation and roadway improvements and kind of talk a little bit about what we reviewed in our analysis in the annexation study. So first, what we do with the transportation analysis is we start out with, we look at the existing trips on the road within the area that we're annexing. And we take that data along with all of the projects that are currently vested, both in the county and the city that are within the area of our development. We load all that into a traffic analysis and then determine, is there capacity? And if there isn't capacity, what type of improvements we may need to do as we kind of get through the site planning process. That analysis looks at traffic generation, review of transportation capacity, and evaluates the proposed site access for the property. So the first step in this process is we prepare a traffic methodology, and that gets sent to Indian River County's traffic department. It kind of is the broad framework of our analysis, and they review it, provide comments, and eventually we get to an approval, and then from there, that's kind of the jumping off point of how we start all the detailed analysis with all the trips and things like that. So we have submitted that methodology to the county. They have approved it already. We have already prepared our traffic analysis based on a subdivision, based on the subdivision and number of units that we anticipate to come in with at a later date. And we'll submit that complete traffic analysis for your department as well as the county to review and approve, but that's all part of the site planning process at a later date. But that report is completed. There are some anticipated improvements that have been developed through that report. It's at this point, there's a process to be followed. Some more improvements may come up along the way. As the developer, we'll have to do whatever improvements are required to support our subdivision. We'll have to build those improvements, and that's a commitment that we have for the project. So a few things we've identified that I just want to review kind of high level with you tonight is we plan on paving 77th and 73rd Street from 66 all the way to our project entrances. So that will meet county standard requirements, DOT standard requirements, and also the city's requirements. We also recognize that there will be some left turn lanes that will be required on 66. So we're already in advance kind of knowing that, anticipating it, and we'll incorporate that into our preliminary plat submittal at that date, assuming the annexation is successful. Another area of infrastructure that we looked at to make sure that we had capacity, and really we started, this was the first starting point for us, and started this very early on in the process, was coordinating with Indian River County utilities, because we had to get utilities and be able to service the site with municipal water and sewer. So we met with Indian River County, we've reviewed utility capacity. We've even got into the details of how we're going to bring the pipes to our site and how the county wants to see that, the alignment of it. And then also got into even more granular on where we're going to connect into their system, what the pressures are. So we have put a lot of thought and effort into how we're going to service the site and are there capacities in the municipal system to accept us. Indian River County, back in December of 2025, issued us a will serve letter, which is saying that if the city annexes this project in, the county will serve the project with utilities. They won't guarantee or reserve our capacity quite yet, but the capacity is available as of right now, and as we work through the site planning process, we'll work to secure that. But there's plenty of capacity, and I'll go through that here shortly. There's also, as far as extending utilities to our site, there's public benefits to that. The county just went through their master plan process and further developing where their infrastructure is going to run in later dates. And our extensions are part of a grander plan that the county has to service the western northwestern area of the county to get a lot of these existing residences off septic systems. So they have a goal to kind of get sewer out into this area, and our project, which the developer will design, build, pay for, construct, and then he dedicates it to the county. So it kind of completes a system that they're already looking to expand. The other part or public benefit of the utilities that we're going to build as part of this project will create redundancies in the county's utility system that they don't have right now. And with those redundancies, it helps with water pressure, overall water quality. So our projects will satisfy a good portion of that northern area between 77th and 73rd. There's some gaps there that will complete and loop the system. Just diving into potable water and the availability for capacity there. So the county currently has 16 million gallons per day available. Our site is projected to have about 125,000 gallons per day of demand that we'll need. So that will leave a little over 10 million gallons per day of surplus capacity in the county's system. So there's more than enough water at this moment to service this project. As far as wastewater, there's 4 million gallons in the central regional wastewater treatment plant that the county has. Again, our demand is going to be 125,000 gallons per day, and that leaves a surplus capacity in that system about 1.6 million gallons per day. So our loading on that system is relatively low versus what capacity is there. As far as stormwater and environmental considerations for the site, so the site's located in FEMA Flood Zone X. We actually border, we are the northern border of Indian River Farms Water Control District. So we do not, our site does not discharge into Sebastian River Improvement District with an ultimate outfall to the Sebastian River. Our stormwater goes into 2 canals that are at 73rd and 77th, and then they flow east and ultimately discharge into the North Relief Canal. So as part of the farms' criteria, we will have some flood compensation. We factored that into the project, and we've done preliminary drainage analysis to support that. Our stormwater system, we will have a master stormwater system for our project. It will meet all the city requirements, the county requirements, the farms requirements, and St. John's requirements. The big thing is St. John's right now. They just had a code change at the end of the year, which increases the requirements of pollutants that you have to treat before you discharge. So our system will completely meet all the new criteria, and we'll have plenty of reduction in the nitrogen and phosphorus discharge on the system. Just kind of relation to Graves Brothers site with our project, the Graves Brothers site is located in Sebastian River Improvement Basin and District. So our system is in a totally different basin and district, and you can't mix the 2 basins. They need to maintain their historical flows into the basins that they were intended to discharge to. The other thing I'd like to talk about is just wetlands. We did do an environmental assessment. It is included in the annexation study. There are no gopher turtles, no endangered species, and there's a very small wetlands on site. It's 0.25 acres, which is well below the 0.5 threshold, 0.5 acre threshold for St. John's that even requires you to mitigate for it. So very little environmental concerns with this site. With that, I'll turn it back over to Ken. Thank you.
Good evening again. Now the fun part. I'm just going to let you look at a concept plan. This is completely flexible, but we just thought it'd be a good idea for you to get an idea of what potentially could be coming. Oops. So this is the potential proposed plan that's on record with the city right now. The plan indicates it's 204 acres. We're showing 502 units, which is a density of 2.46 dwelling units per acre. The very low density is 3 dwelling units per acre. 55 acres of lakes and trails. We have a pretty significant large amenity area proposed in the middle of the site. And then, let's see if that does work. So we have a 6-acre amenity center proposed in the middle of the site. We have a public park in the southeast corner of the site. We also have overlooks and bridges to really kind of make it come together as a community. When you have a community that has a lot of lakes in it, the pods tend to be separated, but with the concept of adding bridges and walking trails throughout the community, there's also going to be a walking trail around the exterior part of the community, at least that's our proposal, and would hopefully create a really nice place for people to live, both who live here and also folks within the neighborhood. Access is identified on the screen. These are just our initial access points. On the arrow on the north, which is 77th, is the main entrance. The blue arrow on the south is 73rd. Those 2 red arrows are emergency access only, just an additional way out in case there was a need to get out. So kind of back to where we are. What does annexation do? What it does, it allows you as the city to place this piece of property under your control. under your comprehensive plan, under your land development regulations. It becomes your decision, is kind of topic number one. It allows for coordinated development, allows the developer in this case to apply for a PUD and have an annexation agreement to allow for flexible development regulations to have a higher quality of development with design characteristics. It also supports housing goals, and finally, it does increase the city's fiscal basis. So in conclusion, and I'm going to ask Mr. Rodenbeck to get up in a second, we have met all of the criteria under the state statutes. Your staff has agreed with our analysis, and it is also a logical and orderly boundary expansion to the city. With that, I'm going to ask Jonathan to get up for a second and just talk for a few minutes, and then we'll be done and happy to answer questions you may have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
And this is a very important slide. I want you to look at this slide. This is Mr. Collins. What you need to know about him is he's hands-on in everything. Those drawings, he's with my wife and I when we're drawing pictures and really trying to kind of make a plan come out right. It is a family business, and Mr. Collins is the key to that. Jonathan.
Put the mic to normal height. Jonathan Rodenbeck from Dill Evans and Rodenbeck. I'm a local attorney here in town, and I've had the privilege of representing Will and his business and assisting him in this particular development. When we initially got the call, there was a conversation about a potential out-of-town developer that's interested in a project in the city of Sebastian. Alarm bells start going off in the head, I want to have a peaceful meal in this town and things of that nature, because you get concerned whenever you hear something like that. What are the intentions? When I first met Will and his development team, what became obvious is that he wasn't concerned so much about what most people are concerned when they come and talk to me. What's the hourly rate? What are the issues that you're having at the city of Sebastian? How long it's going to take? None of that came up. It was about my belief in the project, and he wanted to make sure that I had it, and he wanted to make sure that we developed a team approach to giving a development for the city of Sebastian that's desirable for your staff, for the council. That way it can be an excellent project moving forward. And throughout the entire process, I don't think I've ever represented a client that has never pushed back or said no to any of the requests made by staff. That's very unique. Not that it has to be confrontational, that's not where I'm going with it, but financials are sometimes a very big concern for many of my clients. Anything that was asked of Mr. Collins and the team, however, it was always yes, 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 yes. And I think that shows up readily in the annexation agreement when you look at the contribution made to the recreational fund. To be quite clear with you, that's not a legal requirement. That is just something that Will and his team believed that you should do to invest in the community in which you are going to develop. And that's what you have here tonight. You have an excellent project. I'm not like Mr. Tuma. Respectfully, I don't have beautiful pictures to show you. Those have already been shown to you. I think you have an excellent concept that contemplates a community in which your missing middle, I believe is what Mr. Collins described, can purchase in there, raise their family, and become great members of the city of Sebastian. I don't want to delve too much into the legalities of it, largely because I don't want to just read to you the annexation study and your staff report. This complies with the Florida statutes. This complies with your comp plan. Your comp plan specifically talks about how annexation makes sense. That way you do not have adjacent properties that are going to be under two sets of development regulations, which would be the case here if it's not annexed into the city. This project being annexed into the city, it's under your control, it's under your guise, it is going to fit your vision of the city instead of some other jurisdiction's vision of what this project should be. It makes sense because whatever is developed or whatever jurisdiction is going to be, it's going to have an impact on your infrastructure, your schools, your roads, your parks. So it only makes sense, logistically speaking, for urban development and all the concerns that have been raised in the comp plan that this particular project be annexed into the city. The team still remains very flexible and open ears to what the city council wants with respect to this project. Those concerns that you might have can be addressed later. We're only here tonight to discuss the annexation, and it's respectfully requested that you approve the annexation by approving resolution number 26-16 and ordinance number 26-03. And thank you for your time, and we're available for any questions you may have.
All right, thank you so much for that, sir. Are you all done? Staff, do you have anything final?
I just would like to add that if it is annexed into the city, that it allows the city to have greater control over the destiny of what happens in that area. And so I think that that's something to be mindful of.
All right, thank you so much. This is, anyone from the public would like to speak on this? Yes, ma'am, please come forward.
Grace Reed, Sebastian. I just want to say that I'm all in agreement for this annexation. I firmly believe that the best thing a city can do is expand its boundaries, whether anything's built on it or not. And that's just not even in relation to the tax base. It's just that we would have the ability to govern what goes on it, or maybe not necessarily what it is, but how it is. But the only thing that I was hearing was about the villas and the housing and the residential and stuff like that. And my understanding was that could be a possibility for a PUD, which could be a lot of mixed use. When all of that comes to fruition, I would really like to see y'all really put some thought and dedication into not necessarily the influx of residential, but how are we going to serve those people for emergency services? Is there the possibility for like a small emergency room like they have for Longwood and Vero Beach? What about the fire departments? What about the ambulances? I live right off of Roseland Road, and they are constant. So when we add more residences, we're going to have more need for the ability to get people quickly to help. One thing that I'd like to see less of is gated communities. I lived in Lynchburg, Virginia. There's 2 communities up there which are mixed use. One is called Windhurst, one is called Greenstone. There's no gate to go through these communities. You can park at one of their parks on one of their side streets. You can walk their sidewalks. There's plenty of different types of housing, from townhome to villa to single family to apartments. There's commercial buildings, realtors, businesses, restaurants. There's just all kinds of things in addition to the parks. So I just want you all to keep that in mind when that time comes. But as far as the annexation itself, it's better us take care of it than the county. And one example is that 3-story hotel they were going to put right down on that river. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that, ma'am. Yes, sir. Was there someone in the back that was coming up? No? Oh, come on up then, sir.
Mr. Mayor, members of council and staff, thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you for service to the city.
Your name?
Frank Holtzauer. I live on Mallow Scrub Way in Sebastian. Been here 26 years. I just thought of it, quarter century I've seen Sebastian grow. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. I have a differing opinion than the prior speaker, and I'm not against development, not against growth. I've certainly seen the city grow. I'm to the point now where the false promise of, if we don't take care of it, it won't be ours and somebody else will develop it. I think that's a bad way to look at things. We're in a community that's Fellsmere, Vero Beach, Sebastian, and the county. We should really be working more together. And a big concern I have that really got me thinking was the article in yesterday's paper by Mr. Reisman. And I'm not going to repeat all the things that he said. They were all very good. You probably have read it. 2 things really stood out. One is that residential development does not pay, does not produce enough to pay for itself. And the study by the Indian River County report of just 2 years ago said there's no need to urbanize rural land at this time. And I think we keep going down the path. If we don't take care of it, then it's going to run rampant. I think what's real important is for the city of Sebastian, being the largest population city in the county, is to take the lead. And I'm sure you folks, pardon me, I'm sure you folks talk to the other entities, but we need to grapple with this on a more regional basis, or at least a county basis. I've heard this argument, which stimulated me to get here tonight. My neighbor said, well, if we don't take care of it, then it's going to run rampant. I really don't believe that, and I think that folks are I'm fed up with listening to reports that say, we meet capacity. This development's going to meet capacity. Sure, I'm sure in Port St. Lucie, they get the same reports. It's going to meet capacity. We can handle it with our roads. What about Sebastian capacity? That's the whole issue of the being of Sebastian. It takes me forever to get out to Route 1 anymore. Think about that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir, come on up. We'll get you next, Laura.
Thank you very much. I'm Richard Baker on the board of the Pelican Island Audubon Society, and I'm sure happy to work with you on getting rid of some of the air potato and with your natural resources. We appreciate all that we can help you do. This is going to be called Sebastian Pines. I didn't hear any word about pines. I know you're the tree city and you love trees, and there was no discussion about how many trees you're going to put in there, or if they're going to cut down the trees, or how you're going to handle the trees. We have to save our trees. They provide us the oxygen that we breathe, and they help conserve our water. I appreciate you, Mayor. You were concerned about the development that's occurring in our county, and I appreciate that. Larry Reisman the previous speaker, I thought, made a good point, and Larry Reisman did put in a good article yesterday. Development is exploding, and traffic light is unlike when we were moved here in this peaceful county a few years ago. It's getting heavier and heavier. Sadly, many citrus farmers sold their lands, finding major developers interested in building, clear-cutting our lands. This affects us as well as our bird and wildlife populations, which thrive on open lands. Yet at some point, Florida will have to say no. I think that Fellsmere and Sebastian and our county must work together in the public to agree on how to manage our growth. And we can work together and do that. Such collaboration was one of the 5 recommendations of the county's 2024 Urban Services Boundary Consultant Report. Unfortunately, Indian River County now is becoming ground zero for land speculators and developers hoping to buy cheap agricultural lands and then building more units. 3 units per acre is called very low density here in Sebastian, but a standard subdivision in Indian River County. Residential development, it really never pays for itself, particularly in Florida where taxes are capped. It doesn't pay to expand urban services such as water, sewer, paved streets, stores, parks, police more than until you need to accommodate more people and can pay for all the traffic. So, sewer and water are expensive to build and maintain, but they're essential, and hopefully they won't have septic tanks in this system. This urban service area is more than just a boundary on the map. It's a strategy to get greater return on the tax dollars by focusing new growth and redevelopment in areas where existing or planned infrastructure. Eventually, the city or county does more when there's need to work together. In the Indian River, Sebastian and Fellsmere must get together to discuss the interlocal agreements so that everyone in the county is on the same page, not just accepting piecemeal annexation proposals. Waiting for annexations is not planning. It's putting planning in the hands of developers. And I think we need to control all this wild development that's occurring in our county and in the city. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for that, sir. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Moss? Commissioner. No, Louise, Ms. Moss is coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Laura Moss, Indian River County Commission. Good evening to the mayor and to the council and to the staff. I'm here tonight because I would like to see all of us, and we've heard this stated tonight, I would like to see all of us work better together, and I mean the county and the city, and the cities, not just Sebastian. You know, we had the meetings, joint meetings or joint workshops, I think we called them, a year or so ago. I think it would be great to have one in the future, and this is, you know, it's up to you. I'm just thinking out loud here. It's always dangerous, but have one in the future about planning and development, because there were some very good points made tonight. That's why, and by the way, that's why I'm here tonight, to listen. I'm not here to take a position on any kind of decision that you're making tonight. I'm here to listen, and I have been listening, and there's been some very good points made about working together, about defining progress, you know, and we know what it is, and it's quantified in statutes and rules and regulations, but be able to explain it to the community. I'll give you an example. We did, last October, we had a joint workshop with County Commission and our Planning and Zoning Commission. We had it in the evening. As you know, we meet during the day. We don't usually meet in the evening, but we had it at 6, and it went for 4 hours, and the place was packed. I mean, it was very enthusiastic. There were a lot of us on the dais, but only about half the meeting was County Commission and the Planning and Zoning Commission. The other half was the audience. There was a lot of participation, and it is videotaped, by the way. So if any, you know, residents of Sebastian are curious about it, it's on the county website, indianriver.gov, and it was last October. I think it was October 23rd. It was a special call, so it'll come up easily. But I'd really like to see that, and it can be educational. And to the one, there was a lady who commented on the hotel, and I know that that's a sore point, a big sticking point. But it's something that what people don't understand is that never came before us. We didn't vote on it. It was administrative review. And I understand that the community doesn't understand, you know, how the process works. So that was a good point that was made earlier about it being educational. And in addition to that, as I've said earlier, about working together, and some of the other people have made that comment as well. So I'm just here to, like I said, think out loud and put that before you. And I know each of you individually, so you're welcome to reach out to me individually, or however you want to handle it, and decide what we want to do. But anyway, it's always nice to see you, and thank you for the time.
All right, thank you so much. Is there anyone else? Yes.
I'm Louise Cottenberg. I'm coming to you now as a citizen of the city, representing myself. I brought notes. Okay. So you know it won't be too long. I moved to Sebastian in 1994. When I got here, we had slightly more than 11,000 people. I can tell you in the 30-plus years that I've been here, the atmosphere of this city has not changed. A lot of the vacant lots have changed to wonderful neighbors. I also would like to say that I think it was about 15, maybe 16 years ago, we had a council and a community that were frightened of growth. And it was a very contentious time, and they decided that we just weren't going to have any growth at all because we want everything to stay exactly the way it is. And I think that was 15 or 16 years ago. The result of that was that there was an interlocal agreement drafted but it didn't really work out very well. Shortly after that happened, Fellsmere annexed property on this side of I-95, rather substantial amount of it. And you know what? If the property is not within your boundaries, you do not have any control over it. And the lady who spoke to us just last indicated that we would all be welcome to speak with the county and participate in their ratings, and I know that that is absolutely true. They aren't very convenient for us, though, and when we have enclaves in the city that are under the control of another community, be it Fellsmere or the county, we can certainly give input, but we have no control. And the process being, if it meets their criteria, it has to happen. They can't just say no because we don't like it. We can't say no to a property because we don't like it. We have criteria that we need to follow. Everything has to meet the state standards. Everything has to meet the county standards. And then it has to meet our standards. And it's kind of like a hierarchy of needs. I think it's a mistake. I've been actively involved in seeing properties developed for, I'm going to say it right out loud, 50 years. I've seen it done well. I've seen it done poorly. I know that the impact that it has on your lifestyle, and as far as the statement going that residential doesn't pay for itself, there's no question about that. But people have to have places to live, and if you think you can cast off the expenses onto business, you need to recognize that if you don't have people, you won't have business. If you need to create a market in your community in order to keep your community sustainable, healthy, and moving into the future. If we'd like to keep our children here, if we'd like to keep our workers here, we need to control what's within our boundaries, and sometimes that means we need to increase our boundaries. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir. There's one coming up. Hang on, sir. You'll be next. You can come on up, sir, on the left. Hang over there for a minute. Yes, sir. You can come on up, Chuck. Yeah, no, I gotta give better directions. You're on the left, you're on the right.
Good evening. I'm Chuck Meckling, 1765 Laconia, and I've been for over 30 years doing business in this community. And the question, and Louise was so spot on with so much tonight, but the question that we always ask ourselves is, how do you grow with grace? What the emotional point of what everybody loves here is our community. And I would tell you that growth is inevitable. And the point of this group, Mr. Collins and the Concordia group, is exactly what we would want to have in this community. We have a development spirit of Sebastian, and we are a part of this community. We put on activities and functions, and we have had many meetings with Mr. Collins on what his plans are. And the point of it is good growth promotes good communities. And I, too, am grateful that our children have a spot here to work and to live, and that doing a project where the city and everybody can work together is by far the route that I would hope that we're able to go and able to do. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't want to be on record as agreeing with the attorney, but this was the right height for the microphone. I've never agreed with an attorney before. My name is Mike Johansson. I am the chairman of the Indian River Neighborhood Association, and I am a resident of the city of Vero Beach. We look back at the growth, and there is no doubt that Sebastian could annex Sebastian Pines. The real question is, should you? We're looking at this state of Florida has the third largest population density in the United States. We have the 22nd most land in the United States. Think about that a little bit. The growth that we're seeing and approving, we don't want it to be classified as urban sprawl. We want it to have a purpose, and we want to have the support to support the people. We want to have the hospitals. We want to have the schools. We want to have the police departments. We want to have the grocery stores. We want to have public transportation. If we have a resident for people that are workforce housing, who most of them can't or don't want to afford a car, you have to have public transportation to get them to their jobs. Those are all considerations. I look at the big picture and I see the annexation on the table. There was the Graves Brothers in 2023. That was over 2,000 acres, which is now part of the city. I look out in the west, and there's the Crestwind development, which you haven't seen yet because they haven't applied for annexation, but they will. 383 acres. I see the Pines, which is 204 acres. Where does it stop? How is this part of the plan? Is there a plan? I hear from the contractor that the county has said that they will provide concurrency, which they refused to do for the Graves Brothers. I'll have to look into that, but I've talked to Sean and I've talked to John Takanich at length, and the 16 million gallons consumptive use permit barely accommodates 150,000 people, and they have 157,000 now, plus industrial users. So the big plan doesn't seem to be supporting this, but I caution as you proceed. It's certainly your call, but thank you for letting me talk to you.
All right, thank you, sir. You want to come up, sir? Come on.
Mayor, council members, my name is Peter Roberts. In regards to the Concordia Group, that's a tough act to follow. I've been a resident of Indian River County for 50 years, almost 50 years. My parents had the good foresight to leave South Florida in 1978. On your map, you see that big finger pointing down from the north. That's me. That's my 10 acres. My wife and I have owned that 10 acres for 14 years now. And we could have sold for a profit, quite a nice profit, but we said no. We said no, thank you. I farm that land. I grow vegetables. I grow flowers to sell at the farmer's market. I'm a beekeeper. I also sell honey at the farmer's market. I can't make honey out of concrete and asphalt. This county's being given away to the highest bidder, and it really needs to be stopped, slowed down. We all need to take a step back and look at some growth, some realistic growth, some quality growth. And I don't think it's zero lot lines for maximum profit. I urge you to deny the annexation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am, come on up.
Hi, I'm Sharon Herman. I live here in Sebastian, and thank y'all. I made a couple of extra notes, different than my original thoughts, but the gentleman, two people before, mentioned about Vero Beach. And I don't think very many people realize that Vero Beach City proper is very small compared to what we usually think of as Vero Beach. Because they didn't annex the land, but it kept growing. The more that we do not annex, and this gentleman said we've got all these other projects that could be coming for annexation. I say, great, annex them all, because that way we can control the density of the building. We can control the stormwater issues. We can control what kind of infrastructure is required and needs to be done. If we're going to leave it to the county is not the step, like Louise said, you've got the state, you've got the county, and then you've got the city. And our restrictions can be more defined than the county can. The way I understand it, I'm not 100% sure if I'm right, but the way I understand it is the state has put a kibosh as far as being able to put a moratorium on building. If people own property, they have the right to build, as long as they're within the guidelines and within the ordinances of the city. If we annex this property, we as a city have control over what happens with that property. If we don't, it goes back to the county. And nothing against the county, but maybe their guidelines aren't as strict as ours. Maybe they don't have the visions for Sebastian that we have. It's just like all the, 62 or 64 of those little houses just north of Sebastian Saltwater. Those went in right there on the lagoon because that's county, that's not city property. I know she talked about the hotel, it's been kind of kiboshed. We don't know that that can go back again because that's county property, that's not city property. As long as it's not within our city control, we can't complain because it's going to get developed. Develop's going to happen as long as owners own land. Our hope is just that we can choose to try and develop it a way that keeps our paradise. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. We have anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Robert Vota, City of Sebastian. I live here. I also sit on the Planning and Zoning Commission representing District 2. Joe Flesher, I'm honored to do that. Louise, I thought what you spoke was absolutely true. And in fact, I also want to compliment the team on their presentation. Sitting on Planning and Zoning, I see a lot of these presentations, and I think they brought their A game today. I think what they're asking to do makes sense for this community. I think it does give us that control to develop this. I know Mr. Collins is very open to making sure what he does meets our community's standards and meets our community goals. And he's so thoughtful about that, that it's a rare thing to see these days when it comes to development. Here at the Spirit of Sebastian, we do have bees there, and we brought all of our landscaping. Everything that we do is pollinator friendly. It is Florida native. So you can do that in these communities and allow for butterflies and bees to exist in harmony with us, just by making sure that those kinds of landscaping are what you would want them to have. So I hope you actually support this, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that, sir. Yes, sir. Come on up, Mr. McGinn.
Terry McGinn, Miller Drive, Sebastian. I wasn't going to do this, but, you know, the meeting is about whether to annex or not to annex. And I go back to 2019 when we did the other annexation and the subject issues. And I would compliment the group that made their presentation tonight. As a longtime engineer and project manager, I'd say they did bring their A game. But the question is whether to annex or not. If you drive down Route 1, there's another brand new set of RV storage facilities. There's the big yellow banana, the three-story nursing home. And Commissioner Morse was partially correct. The reason the hotel didn't get built was Jeannie Soul and I found a way to get 3,700 petitioners against the hotel and bring it to the county, and it did us absolutely no good. The only reason the hotel wasn't built was the guy died, and nobody else in his group thought it was a good idea. That hotel was going to be 100 yards from the city of Sebastian. And I went to every councilman when that hotel was moving along, and the answer was, we cannot do a thing about it. It's in the county. I've been here for 20 years. I've gone through the charter review, the comprehensive plan, the budget advisory board, and I think this is the best run city in the whole Treasure Coast. I also think that as long as it's under the control of the city of Sebastian, we'll have much more structured growth than we will in the county. Just take a ride down through Vero Beach and continue on south, and either side of Route 1, it's not Sebastian. This 200 acres, it's a nice development. There are 5 factions here tonight, and they were all very important. There are environmental people here who are really concerned. There were people who don't want growth at any point. There are the people who understand that annexation means control, and we do need to control that property. And so I think that you should go ahead with the annexation. And they will have to come before the Planning and Zoning Board and the City Council, and they won't get away with what they get away with in some other places. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that, sir. Anyone else in the audience? Anyone on Zoom?
I have one with a hand raised.
All right, thank you. Bring them on.
Mr. Gilliams, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, good evening, City Council. So you had a lot of good speakers get up there today. You know, I've been in the community 40 years. By the way, I'm Damian Gilliams. I'm a business owner and a convicted misdemeanor guy, sat on the City Council. Anyway, those guys were good. The presentation was good. However, the town's growing. Larry Reisman made a very good point in his article yesterday. The municipalities need to get together immediately. All annexations should be put on pause, and there should be interlocal agreements written up with all municipalities so that the county has a plan and the cities have a plan, and we're all singing off the same sheet of paper. I noticed the 2.4 units per acre. I think that's too high. I think that should be at 2 and less. They did a great presentation, but did they invite the other nonprofits and the environmentalists in this community to the table to discuss their issues? Nobody contacted me, the president of the Homeowners Association. I'm sure nobody contacted Mr. Baker from Audubon. Nobody probably contacted Tim from over at Sebastian River. Did they? Would you get them to come on up and address those questions and see if they did invite us? We need to draw up the annexation agreement, not the developer. We need to retain the city, the taxpayers. We need to retain a land development attorney to look out for our interest. And we need to be a part of that annexation agreement so that we do not leave anything undone and we don't get stuck with a mess down the road. It's going to come not just with this organization, and they may have great intentions, and I'm sure they do, but we have to have a model annexation agreement for all of them so that we protect our environment, our rivers, our traffic, our schools, our emergency responders, everything. We don't need another Port St. Lucie. We don't need another Fort Lauderdale or Brevard County, Palm Bay. I mean, it'd be nice if we could petition the state to shut down 5, 12, and 16, let them go develop in the other places, but that wouldn't be fair either. So, but I would like to hear from the developer to see if he did invite the other community organizations to be a part of the planning process. And with that, I thank you very much for running a good meeting, Mr. Mayor. God bless.
All right, thank you so much, sir. All right, public input is closed. I think we'll move on. I just want to say a couple of things before we go into further deliberation. I've heard multiple times tonight that we need to work together. What folks don't understand that may not know is that we have a coalition of cities, all cities in Indian River County, including a county commissioner and the county administrator involved in that coalition. And we've been having meetings weekly, sometimes twice a month. And we will continue doing those. So, and there's other things that we all work together, the MPOs and everything else. So, but we are working together, and we continue to work together. That's the goal, is for all of us to work together, all of the elected bodies and everything else, because Indian River County is strong when we're all together. So, and you know, I want to not make this sound mean, but I hear this stuff, and it's always okay for others to build and grow in the county or other places, but when it comes to Sebastian, we get people come out, they don't want us to grow, but it's okay for everyone else to grow. And that, I don't take kindly to that, because we love our city and we want to remain sustainable in the future. And as long as things stay in this city, those properties, we have control over what gets developed, that we get to decide. Our citizens and us get to decide how those things get built based on our comprehensive plan and our land development codes. And with that, I'll leave it to council. Anyone? Mr. Dodd?
Oh, it's on. Thank you. A couple of general comments. There have been, and I think it was referenced by at least one of the speakers, there have been prior attempts to put together some type of a interlocal agreement to handle this. And quite frankly, it failed. Maybe because there wasn't necessarily an incentive on the part of all the participants to make it work. There's, I think, 8 governments in Indian River County, counting Indian River Shores and so forth, maybe. Don't do a AI search on that and correct me, because I may be wrong on the number, but I believe there's 8. And each of those has their own priorities, their own things that they want to accomplish. And when you try to get 8 entities together who have their own internal priorities and internal things that they want to accomplish, and you try to get them to decide who's going to give up something so somebody else can have something, it becomes very difficult to make that happen. And it failed miserably. I mean, that was a point in time in which the county, a couple of county commissioners at least, were attempting to possibly become a charter county to take the ability to govern away from the cities as a result of that. And that was because they were so ingrained in gaining what they wanted to gain out of the process, not necessarily in trying to make sure that everybody won. If political bodies could negotiate correctly, we wouldn't have wars. It's that simple, and they can't. That's one general comment. The other one is that Sebastian has done a pretty good job. I heard one speaker say this, maybe, I'm not sure who it was, but I've been here 26 years now, and the character of this city is still good. It really is still good. And I can't see the people up here, nor the people on our staff, who want to destroy that character in this city. They do what they can to maintain it. The annexation agreement that we're going to vote on, hopefully in a few minutes, is very much structured around providing hopefully somewhat of a win-win situation between the developer and the city. The developer, quite frankly, has done a really good job in working with the city on understanding the city's needs. I didn't have to do that as an ex parte communications, but I personally met with the developer, and I'm sure the rest of the council members have. They've done a really good job of trying to understand the city's needs, and the city staff has done a good job in presenting those. And if you haven't read the annexation agreement, you'd be surprised at what may be in there. They can't develop this piece of property without county utilities. They can't develop it without appropriate stormwater structures. They can't develop it without curb and gutter streets. They can't develop it without maybe Miami gutters, I don't know, but they can't develop it without that stuff. The amount of workforce housing that could possibly be in this, of the lots, is significant, in my opinion, compared to what we've been able to get from other places. There's been efforts within any River County to try to do workforce housing, and when they give away money, give away impact fees, and provide cash, the people still want to build something that sells for $350,000 to $400,000. And a second-year school teacher or a third-year police officer can't buy a house that sells for that price unless they've got an inheritance that lets them pay for most of it. And so there are things within this. That's just some general perspective on this when you look at it. The city is not going to lose on this process. I look at it a little bit differently than some other people do from some perspectives. We are, by agreement, going to have a new town on that 2,000-acre Graves property. New town is my term. I know Alex, she may be frowning at me, but there is going to be some form of a new town development on that Graves property by agreement. It's going to be mixed use. It's going to include commercial, residential. It's going to include this stuff. There is every incentive to address the individuals who talked about things like emergency rooms and so forth. There is every incentive for someone like Florida Health or someone else to build a emergency clinic there. There will be an incentive for there to be a potential fire station located there. There's going to provide stuff for police substations. This piece of property to me is almost like saying that's a neighborhood to the Graves property. It's contiguous to it on a large boundary. And if we look at it as though this is just 200 more acres that's going to be contiguous to that new town concept that's going to be on the Graves property, it doesn't create a problem in saying we want to build a PUD residential there without mixed use. It doesn't create a problem to think about that from that perspective. Because we're not, and I understand, I agree 100% with the people who said this. It makes, you cannot pay for residential development only. It doesn't generate enough tax revenue, and after the state finishes the next 6 months, it won't generate enough tax revenue anywhere, but it doesn't generate enough tax revenue to pay it for itself. You need commercial. But this is basically a neighborhood to a development area that's going to have that commercial in it. There is in the county a development relatively close to this, Liberty Park, that is going to have commercial in it, in those commercial parts of that. I'm assuming that gets built. I don't know, but I'm assuming it's going to get built. So I don't view this as a standalone annexation of a residential piece of property. I view it as a extension of something that is beneficial to the city in that overall 2,000-acre Newtown project. You can put something really great in 2,000 acres, and it's going to be up to the city with its staff and its elected leaders to make sure that that happens. And we have every opportunity, because I'll tell you, the annexation agreement that we did with them provides every bit of the tools that we need to make sure that happens when it takes place. So I'm in favor of this primarily for those reasons. I think it fits well within our comp plan. It fits well with what we're looking for. And it is not going to be cumbersome on the city if you lump it together. I don't know that I would be in favor of this if Graves was 2,000 acres of residential only. I wouldn't be in favor of it, but it fits well within that overall picture. And quite frankly, that is called planning. Okay? That is planning. We may not have sat down in our strategic plan and in our comp plan and said we're going to do a growth plan. Maybe we should, just to kill all these arguments about it. Maybe we should do a growth plan, okay, and talk about that. Of course, if we do, then we might be talking about trying to annex all the way down to 52nd Street between 99th and 66th, because that's a growth plan. Now, people would go crazy if we start talking about that. But in reality, if we were to really talk about a Sebastian growth plan, that would be the boundaries that we would be supposed to be talking about in that regard. That's what Fellsmere did when they annexed 8,000 acres. Their city manager was looking at a long-term growth plan, and he did that by annexing large pieces of land in that process. And I'm sure they're now haggling as much as anybody is on how they control that growth, because they're starting to get people come in and want to build on it. And they'll be dealing with that as they go through the process. So for those reasons, let me make sure on my notes here. Yeah, the Indian River County study for their extension of their urban service area was sanctioned by Indian River County with the overall intent of expanding urban services down Oslo Road beyond 95. And the part of that study that said we shouldn't do anything in this donut hole of no urban services in the middle of the northern county was really an afterthought. I firmly believe that they were told to look at growth down in that south part of the county beyond 95 for an urban service area. If anybody takes a look from Oslo Road all the way to Indian River, all the way to St. Lucie County, is going to be St. Lucie County North. It's all that's where it's headed right now, is St. Lucie County North from that perspective. Okay, and I wouldn't want to do that to Sebastian, and I don't think that's what we're talking about doing. In administrative review, I think Commissioner Moss mentioned administrative review on that hotel. Once again, don't do an AI search, but we don't do administrative review here.
We do administrative review, but it is very minimal compared to what the county does.
Yeah.
It is extremely minimal.
Yeah, you wouldn't build a 3 or 4 story hotel in Sebastian through an administrative process. You wouldn't do it. We don't. In fact, we're talking about a mixed use ordinance or impact our land development code, and the one argument I have against it is the fact in there it says staff approval on certain pieces. So we'll talk about that when we talk about that later. But so I mean, that's something that wouldn't necessarily happen here. So I'm in favor primarily because I think it does fit within that overall picture of where Sebastian needs to go, and I don't think it's going to hurt Sebastian at all when we do that. All we got to do now is just figure out how we can get through the process without a whole lot of consternation. And I do disagree with one thing that you guys said. We are not just approving the annexation. Without a picture, you can't convince people to annex. So when we do the annexation, we have a picture. Believe me, if what comes back is radically different than this, the devil's going to be screaming. So this, when you do government things which are perception becomes reality, this is what people expect to see there. Okay, so yeah, that's the one area I disagree with. It was a great presentation, and if you haven't read it, this document, the justification statement for the annexation is the best that I've ever seen written. I'm telling you, I don't. If you read through it, it's an extremely well put together document, and I applaud our staff, and I applaud the developer staff on putting this thing together. It's very informative, and reading this answers all your questions. So it does a good job with it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you so much. Ms. Matthews, you have a couple?
Well, I'm not sure how to follow that. But, one of the things that I really, that strikes me is the growing with grace. We are a community that through all of our growth, through all of the years, and I've been here 50 years, that I have watched Sebastian, and it's still Sebastian. It's still a town that people inspire, they want to be a part of. One of the things that I really that sticks with me when we start talking about annexation, and annexation it's inevitable. Growth is inevitable. It's going to happen, and if we don't, then we become stagnant. We lose our cities. They die. We have to grow. Annexation in municipalities is one of the easiest way to grow because it's a simple process. But one of the things that I keep is, what are we leaving for the next generation? What are we doing? Where are we, and what are we going to give? This is a well put together. I am notorious, and I know that some people at the other end will agree with me on this, for picking things apart and finding the little things, and I couldn't. And yesterday I did have a small conversation. It was a quick question, and Mr. Mills was gracious enough to answer. And what I have said through, or what I've found through all of this process, is that they're wanting to be a part of our community. They're not, let's drop a community in here and then we're going to run. They want to participate. They want to be here. And these are the people, if we're going to grow, these are the people we want here. We want the folks that care about our community, that are going to participate, that are going to stay, and are going to be a part of it, because those are the people that now see it as well. They're living it just like we are. You know, so these communities, this has just been a great, I mean, it really is. I think this is a good start to some new beginnings. Again, you know, the growing with grace, and that's how we look at this, and what are we leaving? So, thank you.
Exactly. All right, thank you, Mr. Nunn.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, going through all of the paperwork, looking at the annexation agreement, I hadn't had a chance to talk to the team. I do know a few members of the team from other projects, but I met Will for the first time tonight, and a very nice gentleman. I talked to other people that talked to him that have nothing but gracious, good things to say about what he wants for this community and what he wants for this development. You know, people complain about traffic, and I don't disagree. Traffic can be difficult. So we shouldn't annex the property. Well, okay, so if the property's here and we don't annex it, we have no control. We receive a zero amount of dollars from that property, but it's still there. They still come to our parks. That traffic that you were worried about is still going to come through your city, but you have zero benefit and zero control. If you annex the property, that traffic that you're concerned with will now be your traffic. It will benefit you with tax dollars. Yes, it's not going to pay for everything. Unfortunately, residential doesn't. I pray that Graves Brothers has a huge amount of commercial when it does get there, and some other things that are coming around. Provide more commercial, because that's where our tax base really benefits. But the only way we retain our community and retain what we want is by annexing. We have to annex this property that surrounds our city. Liberty Park's a great example. The project that was scheduled for that was, at one point, there was Section 8 housing. There was all kinds. It was super, super tight, clustered, high number of people per acre and units. You know, that's not what we want there. And who knows what will happen with that property if they'll still do that down the road. But it's right there at our back door, and we have zero control over that property. It's going to have who knows how many people, if they ever develop that property, sitting there that will use Sebastian for everything. Because why? It's right there. So this here's right next door to it. And if we don't annex it, we still have all the impact without any of the money or any of the control. So, and I see no reason. This is a great project. I pray that, like Councilmember Dodd said, it looks very similar to what you've presented when we get there, because it's a very nice project. The members of the team that I've talked to in the past, I have no doubt about that. Mr. Collins, I feel, is a really nice, good person that wants good. And unfortunately, in life, you have to make decisions on how you feel about things, what you're doing. They've done the environmental impact studies. When they go further, they're going to be doing more of that. When they've already talked to the county about servicing it, and they've already got a we serve letter from them, which means that they're going to serve it. I feel like they've done their homework and they've done what needed to happen for this, and I'm in favor of it as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. McPartland, you still with us?
I'm always with you there, Mayor.
All right, good. Thank you, sir.
All right, I don't want to reiterate everything that everybody else say, but I do like to comment, growing with grace, growth with grace. And I've been sitting up there for 15 years, and I think Sebastian, in that period of time, has grown with grace. So I support the project before I lose some video here.
All right, that's it. All right, thank you, sir. I guess we're done with that, and I think the first thing we're going to take a motion on them separately. If you all are done with your deliberations, we'll start with R26-16, the annexation. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. And we have a second. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Nunn. Yes. Councilmember Matthews.
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd. Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Vice Mayor McPartland.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you so much for that. The next item is ordinance O-26-03.
Mr. Mayor, if
Oh,
I may.
sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jim,
we just
sorry.
have one issue with this, and now that you've passed or approved the annexation agreement, for ordinance O-26-03, I'd like to ask the council add an additional whereas clause. You got copies of it. All it says that whereas the owners of the real property and the city of Sebastian have entered into an annexation agreement approved April 8th, 2026, setting forth certain terms under which the annexation will be governed. So if that meets with your approval, when somebody makes a motion, if you could make a motion to approve it as amended, and then for the second reading, it will come with that language.
All right, very good. We understand.
O-26-03 as amended.
I will second. Any discussion? All right, Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Matthews.
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd. Yes. Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Vice Mayor McPartlin.
I think he had to go.
Councilmember Nunn.
Hang on just a second. Is he still there? Can you see him?
He is still on.
All right, can you? All right, there you go. Thank you,
Yes.
sir. All right.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries
Motion
5-0.
carries.
All right, thank you guys so much. We're going to take a 10-minute recess, and then we'll convene in 10 minutes.
The boat hit a big
All right, we're back on. Next item on our agenda is unfinished business, item 11A. Mr. Benton or whoever, Mrs. Stokes?
Sure, I can read this. It's resolution number R-26-15, a resolution of the City of Sebastian, Florida, authorizing the mayor to execute deeds and real estate documents, adoption of recitals, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
All right, thank you so much for that, sir.
I second it.
So we have a motion and a second.
We talked about this before.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this item? Anyone on Zoom?
No one has raised their hand.
All right, thank you so much. Public input is closed. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
And Councilmember Matthews?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right.
Can I?
Yes, sir.
I need to have a quick 1 minute discussion with the attorney. Can we hold for 2 seconds?
Yeah, go ahead.
Dinner.
Mr. Mayor, we just wanted to clarify on the item before, which was resolution R-26-16, that when the motion was made for approval by Councilmember Nunn, that it was stated as R-26-16. He believes that he may have misspoke and said 15 instead of 16. So we just want to, and of course, I don't remember, maybe I wasn't listening close
Well, can we just do it?
But in any event, I think we just clarify.
Just clarifies the correction and a consensus that that's okay?
Yeah, because what matters is what you guys understood you to be voting on, but we just want to make sure.
I may have said 16 instead of 15, so if you want to redo the motion, I can do that if you think that'd be appropriate.
I think on the resolution for annexation, I said 15.
No, he's talking about 2616.
26. I think I said 2615 because I think I was reading
for the
up
annexation.
here.
You're talking about the annexation. Okay.
I just want to clarify that my motion was for R-26-16 as for the positive.
So I agree with that. I know that's what I voted for that number too.
Okay.
So we have a consensus.
Okay, just as long as, everyone confirms that their understanding of what they were voting on, so that
All right.
no
Thank you.
confusion. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. New business, item 12A. I think there's some errors on page 85. The dates were incorrect on that. So, Mr. Benton, are you on this one?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a request from the police department through our procurement manager. I apologize. Jessica is out sick today, so I'm kind of carrying her load forward to discuss these items. This is a purchase order request in the amount of $60,133.40 for a 2026 Ford Transit T350 cargo van, including upfitting, but as mentioned in the staff report, it does not include the graphics. That'll be purchased separately. It doesn't meet the threshold to come to council, but we wanted to make sure we were transparent that there will be an additional amount on the purchase of this once we get the vehicle and take it to graphics. And there is sufficient funding for this, as mentioned by the mayor on page 85. The column under amount budgeted, all of those items came forward to council in 2025. It was inadvertently listed on here as 10/8/2026. And so with that, just for clarification, the vehicle is, out of that is $49,282.68. The upfitting is $10,850.72. So we request your approval, and if you have any specifics, the chief is here to answer those as well.
All right, thank you. Is this for crime scene or something else?
Yes, sir, it's for crime scene.
All right. Anyone have any questions for the chief?
Yeah, it's 60,133 plus the fit out on it. Is that correct?
No, sir.
No, sir. So the $60,133.40 includes the vehicle and the upfitting.
Okay, that includes it.
The only thing additional on this that we were being transparent about is when we receive the van out, completely outfitted, we will send it for graphics, and that will be an additional amount, a couple $1,000s for graphics.
Okay, all right.
Is that correct?
I move
Less,
approval then.
usually $750.
Usually about $750 to $1,000 for graphics.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Second.
I was just confused when you were talking about what that was, so it's,
All right.
I move approval.
All right, second. And we have a motion and a second. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this? Seeing none, anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
All right, council, Madam Clerk, unless the council has anything else. Nothing?
Nothing.
Madam
Sorry.
Clerk?
Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you so much. We're on to item 12B, consideration of selecting the top 7 ranked firms. Mr. Benton.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So real quick, this is going to pertain to items 12B, 12C, and 12D. I just wanted to provide some clarification. The reason we have chosen so many to award so many firms in this is due to the specialties within each of these RFQs to best provide the specific services necessary when the city needs something. So you'll see, obviously, the item we're discussing now, RFQ 26-6. We are requesting council's approval to award to the top 7 ranked firms. That doesn't mean that all 7 are going to get all the business. It's going to mean we're going to, the one that fits best with the need that we have at that specific time, we will then negotiate CSAs with that firm at that time. So what we are doing tonight is we are recommending selecting the top 7 ranked firms for RFQ 26-6, continuing coastal engineering services, and authorize the city manager to execute the negotiated agreements.
All right, thank you so much for that. Any questions, council, from that? No? Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Can I make a motion to approve B, C, and D? Is that appropriate? Can I make a motion to approve B, C, and D, or do we need to do individually?
No, that's different. That's 26, 27,
They're different
and 28, right?
Okay.
So RFQs.
I'll
yeah.
make a motion to approve RFQ 26-6.
I'll second. Are you okay, Mr. Stokes? You think we could do it?
Yeah, I mean, these aren't things that require a public hearing or anything. These are pretty much administrative. This is the type of thing that had the manager not wanted to go into an explanation, he could have even put on consent had he wanted to. It's the type of stuff a lot of cities will do on consent. So this is a situation that you could, as long as the motion is clear, that you're approving each.
I will pull back my motion, and I will make a motion to approve RFQ 26-6, RFQ 26-7, and RFQ 26-8.
Second. All right. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this item? Seeing none in the chambers, do we have anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
All right, public input is closed. Madam Clerk, unless we have anything up, any one of you all have anything? Mrs. McPartlin, do you have anything on this?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to item 12E. Mr. Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Once again, procurement manager, in working with our public works director, had solicited, issued an invitation to bid 26-9 for pre-engineered metal storage buildings for the public works compound. This was a budgeted item in this year's stormwater FY26 CIP, utilizing discretionary sales tax funding. We had budgeted $450,000 for this. We have expended $68.64 for the legal ad for this. The original plan for this was 2 buildings. If you remember, the expansion points for the public works compound included a shelter structure heading off of the existing break room building, heading to the south. towards the retention pond that would house smaller equipment, some vehicles, things like that. And then on the most southern portion of the fenced-in area, we have a large compound area that houses our large equipment, back truck, backhoes, tractor trailers, all that stuff gets housed there. The price for both of those structures, shade structures or storage buildings, came in over budget. So with that, staff and Jessica went back to the lowest bidder and requested if they would honor their price if we only selected one of the buildings. So with that, coming before you tonight is a request to approve issuing a purchase order for $335,117 for a metal storage building that will house our large equipment in the southern portion of the building, not including the extension off of the existing building. So it would only be one structure that we're requesting approval for due to budgeting.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Can we have a motion for this, or?
I'd like to ask a question, if I could,
Yeah,
Mr.
Mayor,
Mayor.
go ahead.
Where are we storing all these items now?
In the open?
Yeah, they're just out in the open right now, dealing with the elements, and they need to be under a covered structure.
Okay.
And I will also have one other thing that I should have clarified when I was having a discussion. This still has to go before planning and zoning. It has not been approved by planning and zoning. The reason we're coming forward for the PO is we can't get signed, sealed, engineered drawings from the firm until we have a PO to go forward with them. Our agreement with them, as we go forward, I spoke with Jessica on this, we will place language in the agreement that it will be conditioned on planning and zoning approval for the entire project. There will be some costs with the signed, sealed, engineered drawings out of this that we'll pay, but it still has to go to planning and zoning.
All right.
This is for storage of the large equipment, and is there any consideration for things like possibly grease separators or some type of trap system for contaminants that come off that equipment onto the floor of this building? I didn't see anything in the bid for that kind of stuff, and that's so.
Yeah, so it'll be built as kind of a shade hanger, if you will. It won't have concrete on the bottom. It's going to have the existing sub base that we have out there.
Yeah.
So there will be some concrete right around where the poles go, but other than that, it's going to be an open structure.
That answers my question. I was just concerned with a concrete slab that there might be. Okay, I'm fine with this then. And this is actually building 2 on the quote that you got, right? Yeah.
2 or?
Yeah.
Let me clarify.
This is one, the second one's not going to go.
It's the second, there was 2 quotes. The second one was the amount of money that you got in here, I think.
Correct. So this is for building 2, which is the southern building.
Because the stuff here says buildings.
Buildings,
So,
but it's one building, correct?
yeah, one building.
Yes, correct. It's only one building, but when we did the bid, we did this on purpose because we did have some concern that it was going to come in over budget. So we went ahead and had them separate the 2 building costs out for us.
Okay. I move approval, Mr. Mayor.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this? Anyone on Zoom?
I have one hand raised.
Thank you. Bring them on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Is this the building over at the airport, the stormwater, the public works building over there?
Yes, sir, it is. This is to cover those vehicles, what you spoke about in the past, about covering them so we don't destroy the vehicles.
Yeah. When I went out there and I looked at that, I took pictures of it. I couldn't believe it. But here's the problem I have. Wasn't that project $6 million over budget?
We're beyond that project, sir. We're talking about shade hangers for our equipment now.
I understand that, Mr. Mayor, I understand it. But this is the same project that we were $6 million over budget. Because when I was on council, it was 3.5, and it ended out at about 9.2. That's the same project. I just want to get clarification.
All right, thank you, sir. Are you done?
So you don't want to answer whether we're $6 million over budget? Because the city manager said we were. He told me we were, because I was at the meeting when I asked him.
Mr. Mayor, I have a point of order.
Yeah, we have a point of order. This
Okay,
is not about the old building.
This conversation is about this agenda item, and this conversation has nothing to do with this agenda item.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
Excuse me,
terminate.
Mr. Mayor, listen, don't let Mr. Dodd cover up, okay? First of all, that was change
Mr. Mayor,
orders.
I have a point of order, and these rules.
All right, Mr. Gilliams, can you hold on for a moment? We have a point of order on the floor. We need to vote on this.
No, it doesn't.
Hang
doesn't
on.
work.
Yes.
My point of order is that the discussion item pertains to only purchasing this building, and to other items brought into that are suitable for public comment, and this is not public comment.
And I agree. This is about this particular item. It's not about anything in the past. So this is what we should be speaking about.
Okay.
So
I
at
agree.
our next meeting, if a speaker would like to bring it up under public comment, he's more than welcome to.
All right.
All right, you're right, Mr. Mayor. Let Dodd cover it up. But I'll make sure that the community knows that we were over budget, and you're going to go ahead. And it's okay. I'd rather see you cover the equipment. But you're right, Dodd. You're right. Let's just cover it up, the embezzlement of $6 million.
Mayor,
out of taxpayers' money.
All right, sir.
All right, I'm done.
You're done. Yes, sir.
I'm just tired of him.
All right. No more public input. Anyone else on there? Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Matthews.
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd.
Yes.
Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Vice Mayor McPartlin.
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you so much. Next item on our agenda is item 13, the city attorney matters. Mr. Stokes.
I have nothing for this evening, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Next is city manager matters. Mr. Benton, you have a couple of things?
Yes, so the first item is a discussion with council regarding the city clerk position, interviews and scheduling plans. So before you all tonight on the dais, I provided a document that gave a proposed schedule for the city clerk position. The advertisement for the position closes on April 12th. That's next week. April 13th through the 17th, Human Resources and myself, and including our acting city clerk, we'll review the applications and we will select the ones that are qualified, if you all are okay with that. If you all want every application to come to you on an agenda so that you can choose the finalists yourselves, you all can do that. We're just proposing that we will kind of go through and pull out the ones that are not qualified. So I'm looking for some direction on that. Currently, a list on here, there's 47 applicants. I checked right before I came down. I had already printed this out. It was 49 applicants that have applied. Then moving forward, April 22nd, based on your direction for review of applications, staff will then present qualified applications to council to determine your final candidates, and we will include those applications in the agenda packet. And schedule a date for interviews. We can schedule that date now. We were kind of looking at the week of April 27th. If that's too soon or if somebody has conflicts, we can obviously push it out. But we were just trying to be as efficient as possible to get this process moving forward. And then obviously whatever day we select for interviews, and I guess it depends on the number of candidates that you all choose, we would then schedule a 5 p.m. meeting for you all to discuss the applicants and make a selection. The other question with this is, do you want to have, typically in the past when you've done charter officers, you've had your individual interviews and then you've brought them in for a public interview. Do you want to have a public interview with the city clerk candidates, or would you just prefer to have your individual interviews? Those are answers we're looking for tonight. So we'll start with the first one. Do you want us to kind of sort through the applications before they come to you all, or do you want all of them to make your own decisions?
I think me personally, as a charter officer, and we're, it's our responsibility. I think we should, it's kind of our job to do it. I mean, I appreciate the offer.
My thought, and I'll offer a thought. My thought is, obviously, with 49 applications, let's just talk 47. We had a list of qualifications that were desired, required. Me personally, I would while we won't discredit any of those 47, I think I would like to see the qualified applicants first and let us go through those. And if we look at those and don't see anybody that we think, I mean, if we look at it and like, I think we need to see more, then maybe we could do more. I don't know if I think HR and that should go through the applicants and understand who's qualified for the position first, because just because somebody was a administrative assistant doesn't make them qualified to be a city clerk.
And I agree with that. I meant the qualified applicants.
Cool.
I mean,
Okay.
if of those 49, there may be they're not qualified. They don't meet the qualifications
Right.
of what was posted. I'm talking the ones that are qualified,
Oh,
that
yes.
meet all of our
Agreed.
requirements that we've posted and put out there.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's 10, 12, 15, whatever that turns
But
out to
whatever,
be,
yes, whatever that.
whoever's
I think
qualified
HR
for the
can
position.
actually do that. I mean, I don't, that basically, if you've got an application from someone who has absolutely zero experience in the city clerk's role or hasn't worked within a certain clerk. Oh, I'm sorry. That has. If you got an application from someone who has zero experience in a city clerk role or has not worked in a city clerk office before, that's not someone that, I mean, I'm not saying they're not a good person and can do a good job. I'm just saying that we're looking for someone who can come in and jump into that role. We're going into an election cycle. I mean, I walked in today and poor Cindy was out there trying to make booklets up for the election, so we have to have people who can fit within that very quickly. So if we hire somebody in May, first week in May, we want them to at least be able to walk in the door and know what they're talking about the first week in May or the second week in May or whenever. So I would think HR can do that relatively quick. And I'm not discounting the city manager being involved in that, but I think that HR function can be done without any assistance. I trust Cindy to do that. I mean, don't pull out an application from somebody who has experience, but I don't know, you don't like their name or something. I don't think you'll do that. So I'm not worried about that happening. And then are we talking about on the 22nd at our council meeting where we might do this, paring this down, or what's the process? If we get, let's say we get 10 applications as a result of this paring down, and we don't want to interview 10 people probably. So the council has got to some way or another say, these are the 5 people or whatever number that we want to interview. We had issues before with marked ballots and, I mean, I think at one time somebody was talking about, so how do we want to do that? Do we want to do that in the open in a meeting where we mark ballots, or do we want to do that and send it to HR and say, here's the 4 people I like, or here's my rank 1 through 10, and have them decide? I mean, how do we?
Yeah, as far as putting what yours are, I mean, yeah, you could send those to HR. You'd identify, so it'd still be a matter of public record. So it'd still be, Councilmember Dodd selected these, if anyone ever requested. So, but there's no communication at that point. There's no communication among you,
correct,
because you're dealing with staff. So it wouldn't be a sunshine issue. Public record issue, yeah, those would be retained in the file, and then based upon that. HR could then create what would be the short list. It would still have to come back to you for approval. So then, if HR came and said, here are the 5, top ones, if somebody here said, well, I really want this person, maybe collectively you'd add a 6th or go down to 4 or whatever. So you would still have to have some public conversation before the final list was finalized, or the short list was finalized. But you could get the ball rolling by submitting your.
So before the actual meeting to determine who we're going to interview, we'd have to almost have a meeting to do that final selection of the people that. I mean, if I look at this list, it's saying, okay, on the 22nd, I want to send you that. Then the week of the 27th, we're going to interview. Well, it seems to me like on the 22nd, we have a step that has to happen in between. That step is that each one of us needs to communicate to HR a ranking, and we can do it in a choice ranking list. If there's 10, list 1 through 10.
My
and
only
mathematically come up with the top 5 or something. And then at that point, we almost have to have a special meeting to determine whether that's actually the top 5 we want to interview. Does that sound reasonable?
I don't. So here's how I thought this would play out. the decision will be made by HR to narrow the candidates down to only the qualified. We would then put those in the agenda packet for the 22nd. At the 22nd meeting, you all would determine we want to interview 3, 4, 5, whatever your number is. You then choose those to interview at the 22nd meeting.
Okay, so we're going to do that ranking in public at the meeting.
Or you can do it before if you want to send it in before. I just know that you get the agenda on Thursday. Everybody may not have, I mean, it'll be tight to get it in before the meeting on that following Wednesday to get it into.
Okay, well, I'm just reading what's on the paper, and it says April 22nd, which is the day of our meeting, that we'll get a list of the qualified ones, and then we'll determine the final candidates.
No, you'll have it in the packet. It'll be in your packet. So we'll present those candidates to you in an agenda item, but you'll have it in your packet that you received that Thursday before.
So we'll do our ranking at that meeting, basically.
Yep. And you'll decide whoever you want to interview.
Okay. Yeah. This was a cumbersome thing in the past when we did a couple of these ranking things. It got to be kind of cumbersome. And you know, that's, so.
I mean, I think realistically, the number of candidates you're going to see out of these 49, Cindy, tell me if I shake your head no if I'm wrong, you're only going to get qualified candidates of somewhere in the range of 6 to 10.
Yeah, 10. I'm thinking 10 would be a top
and 10 might be pushing it. It might be, yeah. You know, so I think you're going to have a short list already, to be quite honest.
Okay.
And then, so we will do that. We'll get it on the agenda for the next meeting. You at that time will determine your final candidates that you want to interview. So my next question is, we'll obviously have individual interviews with each of you. Do you want to also have a public interview session like we've done for managers and attorneys?
I think we need to do individual, and that's it.
I do too.
I do too.
So we'll do individual throughout the morning, however many there are, and then we will come back at 5 p.m. that day and you can discuss it.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. But I also like, one other thing I want to say, I know that HR will break it down to the top qualified candidates, but I'd still like to be able to see all 47 at some point, the applicants and what they were. So I know there'll be a list of them, and because from my experience from before, I believe there'd be information that you send in, cover letters or whatever, that you can look at their qualifications, et cetera. I'm not saying that somebody is not going to choose someone that's qualified that we may want to choose. I'm just saying I'd like to look at all of those applicants myself.
Could you put all of the applicants in a book and have it in the clerk's office?
Yes.
So that we individually, if we choose, could come in and look through the book? Would that be a reasonable approach to do that?
It closes on the 12th. We'll have the book in the clerk's office on the 13th.
Yeah, and that way, if we choose to, we could individually come in and look through that book if we choose to?
Correct.
Okay.
And I would request that you come in on the 13th and look at them if you need to, because the agenda packet will have to be posted and out pretty quickly.
Well, but the agenda packet is not going to include, okay, all right.
But if you see someone that we completely.
That's just one of those things where I say, so what? You know, if I come in on the
HR,
15th, and so what?
But if there is one that somebody missed, we can always add it because it would be an agenda item. Is that correct?
Correct. You can add it. Yeah, you can add that person, but then the rest of them wouldn't have seen it, but then you can discuss it that night. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I'm good with these dates. Anyone else?
So we're looking to possibly make do a selection, and the next question is after the 20, let's say the 27th, we do a selection at a meeting at 5 p.m.
At the 22nd.
27th.
Oh, the week of the 20, we can't meet the 27th. There's a Parks and Recreation meeting, so the week of the 27th.
Okay, so whatever day in that week, you have to pick a day in that week. You're going to have a meeting at 5 p.m. So we make a selection. At that point in time, then, based on our procedure for charter officer contracts, the mayor then works with that individual and puts together a contract. And then we have to have that contract brought back to us. And will we do that on the first meeting in May? Would that be appropriate to think about doing that? So we could.
What is that date?
I mean, it would basically, like, say we did May 13th. Interviews April 29th or 28th. You made a selection. That would be almost a whole week to negotiate before it had to be on an agenda. So it is possible to get it on May 13th.
So with that, Mr. Mayor, is that a goal that you think you're comfortable
No,
with?
I think, what are we doing on the 27th? That's,
The 27th, we can't, it's Parks and Rec.
oh, it's can't, okay.
But we can do the 28th
On the 28th?
or the 29th or the 30th.
So the 29th is a Wednesday, and so could we just plan on doing it on the 29th?
If everyone's available.
April 29th. What time is what we're talking?
It'll be 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, 5 p.m.?
But the interviews would be the morning, right? Of the 29th?
Yes, yeah, it would be an all
So it'd
day,
be an all day.
it would be all day.
Okay, that's fine, all day, so.
So is,
Vice Mayor, are you available on the 29th, April 29th?
At 5 p.m.
All day?
All day.
All day. I didn't bring my work phone with me, so I don't have my schedule, but I could probably get in touch with my assistant tomorrow, and she could tell me what I got going that week.
yeah. So tentatively, we can schedule it.
Yeah, we'll tentatively schedule it. Everybody put it on the calendar for the 29th. Are you good, Councilmember Nunn?
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I don't need to work and make money, so.
Well, I mean, you're not going to be all day. If you've got 5 candidates.
No,
you
it'll
might-
be the morning
you
and
might
then.
be, you know, in and out
Yeah,
time
it'll be
based on
fine.
the
Yeah,
interview
we'll
time.
stay.
So,
We'll make it work.
okay.
What time are we gonna start? In the morning, 9?
We can do morning or we can do afternoon leading up to the meeting. Either one, however you want to do it. We would start at 9 a.m. if we did it in the morning.
I mean, Cindy can work that out. If Chris, for example, has to do his interviews in the afternoon, she can work that out. So he does that as opposed to whatever.
We will work with each of you and have
Yeah.
that schedule ready for the 22nd meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay.
Oh, we'll have to do it after the 22nd
Okay.
because you'll have to have the number.
After we figure out how many final candidates there are. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would be surprised if we had more than 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But,
All right.
Mr. Mayor, if I may also, I'd like to recommend that when the applications are put on an agenda, that we go ahead and authorize right now to redact out address, phone number, email address and everything, because I don't know if you've seen, but there is an uptick in the scams of people pulling stuff off of our public agendas and sending out scam emails, and other cities are having it. In fact, WPTV just did a story about another city in the Treasure Coast that's having this same problem. So we had talked internally about starting to put less personal information on published agendas. It doesn't take it away from being a public record or anything if somebody comes in to look. And if you want it, certainly we can get you unredacted copies, but anything that's posted that goes online, I would recommend be redacted for security's sake.
good idea.
Agree.
And then building off of that, I just have one other item.
All right.
Building off of that, in your agenda packets, we have always historically for alcohol permits and different things that we've done, some that come through community development with applications, we've included the full application to you all. We are no longer going to include that in the agenda packets. If you see an item and you're like, I want to see the application, you can request it from us. We have had numerous scam events that have made attempts, even simple things as our alcohol, a baby shower rental at the yacht club that cost them a couple $100. They got a letter in the mail from someone who pulled their information off of our agenda packet. That's the only place they could get the application that had all their details on it. They then sent them a scam letter that said they owed planning and zoning $4,000 in order to have their baby shower. And it outlined everything. It used our logo. It used a watermark. So we're starting to go through some changes here with how we're going to approach things, and we're going to be working on a PSA as well to the public for that as well. So just wanted to make you, that was the other item that I had for tonight, to make you all aware of that.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Madam Clerk?
I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
All right. City Council matters. Mr. McPartland?
Nothing. I think everything went well tonight.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go up and get some pizza on the boat.
Okay. Okay, it's my turn. Council, I'd like to ask if we could have staff take a look at doing a military veterans discount at our golf course. These are other entities and everything else provide discounts to military veterans. I just want to get a consensus whether or not we could do something like that. Whatever the percentage is, we let staff take a look at that, but I think that's something that we should probably do.
I was going to actually bring it up down the road in the past and just forgot to be honest. So no, I think it's a great idea.
What's it going to do to the financials at the golf course? The golf course is financially not sufficient, not solvent, basically.
But even if
so
you
the
go
more
10%,
things we do like that, now, I don't know, I'd kind of like to get some idea what that might do to the finances in the golf course before we do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be hard for us to guesstimate how many we could throw a number out there. You know, my question is, are you only talking about rounds, or are you also talking about memberships? Because
No,
memberships would make a different element on that. So if it's just rounds, we could just take it, because we don't track those numbers. We don't track how many veterans come in to use the golf course. So we can get some numbers put together, and whatever the percentage is, if it's 10%, then we can kind of, you know, equate that to what that would account to in the fiscal impact to the golf course.
And if you're talking about just greens fees or cart rental is a big issue, because if we reduce cart rental, then we're increasing the potential impact on the city to replace batteries and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a veteran. I'm 100% want to do everything for the veterans, but it's just another one of those things where there's a potential financial impact to that. And was it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have a discussion with Greg. Personally, I don't know how many rounds are played by veterans. I don't know that it would be a huge number, but it obviously would be an impact to the golf course of some amount on an annual basis.
Yeah, and for veterans that have an annual membership, if we don't include cart rental, they don't get an advantage because they don't pay greens fees.
Yeah, but I think.
Yeah, but we're not. I'm not suggesting the members. I'm talking about just rounds when folks come in, not on the membership side.
So you just talk. So if you're a veteran that's actually a member, you know, if we only include greens fees in the discount, and if you're a veteran that's a member, you're not paying greens fees, so you're not going to get a discount. Right. In that regard, so a different discount. So I mean, I think there's impacts to that.
There may be, but I mean, the concern is obviously it's going to cost a little bit of money. But what do we owe the people that have served and took us where we are?
I don't even want to get in that discussion, Fred. I have no issue at all with what we owe veterans at all. I spent my time in Vietnam, so I don't.
But it's just a matter of just a little something to give back. We have local businesses that do that and everything else.
I don't want to get in that discussion.
I would just ask that we take a look at it.
Yeah,
and see,
that's all I'm asking.
If we can find a way to have an idea what we're looking at. Maybe we talk to one of the other courses that do offer a veteran discount and see what their numbers look like, what kind of percentage, you know. Maybe we can get an idea of what we're talking and then look how it hits the financials. I think that's probably the simplest way.
What I'll do is I'll have Greg get us some information. This will be something that we can bring forward. We'll start working on it now, bring forward in our budget discussions, our budget workshop, and we can hopefully have the information before then so you all can see that. But we'll get some stuff put together and see how that could potentially affect our golf course.
Well, that's all I'm asking is just take a look at it and see if it's something that we're willing to do. There's no harm in checking. So, right. All right, I'm Ms. Matthews.
I have nothing tonight.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Dodd.
I have nothing, sir.
All right, Mr. Nunn.
I have one thing, and I talked to the city attorney about it, and actually I talked to city manager about it as well. I was up in South Carolina and was talking to my friend. He's the code and building official up there in that town, and their board members for their planning and zoning and other boards, they have to do 3 credit hours of training every year. It's a requirement to be on the board. I was just wondering, it's not something we've ever done. There are other cities in Florida that do that as well. I'd like to, maybe we can bring it back at a regular meeting, what you think about requiring our board members to go through training that's relevant to the job they're doing on the board. I don't know if you've watched some of the meetings, but I'll use planning and zoning, and I've seen some pretty interesting questions and conversations happening up there, and I feel like maybe a better trained board would provide a better experience. Does that sound like something y'all are willing to talk about?
I think what Louise said earlier about, definitely, I agree with you.
I turned it off because I'm ready to go home, but I got to turn it back on. But I think the comments that Louise made earlier about that are spot on, because I agree with you 100%. I've seen some action take place in some of the boards that maybe are questionable. I don't know about if we could find some courses. I don't know whether Florida League of Cities got something like that or not, but if the worst case would be that we develop our own course criteria. I think it would be appropriate from her comments to have some type of training. Maybe the growth management people can do this. I hate to throw more on them because I know they're very busy, but to come in and go through the process, if somebody comes to us and wants to put together a development, here's what has to happen, and here's the steps they go through, and here's the things you can consider when you do a quasi-judicial hearing on a site plan. Here are the things that you could consider, and you can't turn it down for other reasons. You have to be in this scope of things, and that would apply definitely to the Planning and Zoning Commission, because of course I spent years on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I can remember getting lectured by one city manager and one growth management director about, you're asking stupid questions. And I think it was a good, actually what it forced me to do was read through the land development code. I spent a whole boring weekend doing that, but it really turned out not to be so boring. And after a while, it worked a little bit. I think that's a good thing. There are some other boards that are getting into some pretty amazing things. Yeah. And I can think natural resources is one, and they need to, they're doing some really good work, and other people need to try to understand that and see what they're doing. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Stokes, just refresh my memory. Didn't you have a training program put together?
We have something that covers a lot of the sunshine and public records and some of the how to do quasi-judicial, all that. But my suggestion, and based upon what Councilman Dodd said, I would suggest that, maybe we put something together in-house, and we might want to do that 1 year if we're going to make this a yearly requirement. But then maybe alternating years, we find somebody else, because, I go through this on our local government seminars. We have one for local government law every year. Same speakers year after year, and you're like, okay, I heard this last year, and now I'm hearing it again, and all that. So I think we could mix it up and provide, a combination of both in-house and out-house training. I think we could do that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's something we can bring back and talk more about. Appreciate it. That's all I have for tonight.
That's all you have? All right, that's it. We're adjourned.